My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. That name that strikes fear into the heart of the Prophet. When they hear I lead that very movement of the children of light. And have we not brought enlightenment to all the people? This very movement, as heaven ordained, must free the whole of Nigeria. Everybody must be free. And that light, the same way that the sun rises from the east, that light is coming from the east. That's all it is. This very evening, we are going to pray as we are accustomed to doing here. We are going to hand over our proceedings very, very briefly and concisely to the Most High Elohim in heaven. We must pray. Anyị na-ebuli olu anyị niile elu ebe ya nọ n'ụwa niile nna nke ebere wee na-aja gị mma wee na-eto gị wee na-agọzi gị onye dị nsọ mgbe niile ebighị ebi onye ime eluigwe onye ọ bụ naanị ya na-achị onye ọ bụ naanị ya nọ n'oche eze elu ụwa wee bụrụ ebe ntụkwasị ụkwụ ya anyị na-arịọ gị anyị na-aja gị mma anyị na-eto gị na-asị gị ezi nna pụrụ ime ihe niile biko nye ụmụ gị ezi echiche na amamihe nye ha akọ ma nyekwa ha uche tinye ha n'ime mmụọ ha mmasị nke ụmụnne n'ihi na mgbe niile na nwanne na-aka enyi ka anyị were ịhụnanya ịdị n'otu mmekọrịta nwanne na nwanne wee na-aga njem nzọpụta nwere onwe nke gị onwe gị dịrị anyị ka anyị wee gaa ma lekwa ndị iro nna nke ebere dị ngọzi isi ga-ekpu ha niile n'otu n'otu aka nsị ha bụkwana ha ọnụ site na amara gị ịgba okwu n'anya ume ezi nna dị ngọzi n'ihi na ọ ga-amasị anyị gụrụgụrụ mgbe bịa anyị wee too gị gosi aha nsọ gị n'ihe ọma nke ị na-ebe n'ime ndụ anyị anyị wee na-asị na onweghị chi dịka gị onweghị onye ọbụla kere eluigwe n'ụwa ma ọ ewezụga gị nna nke igwe ma o nweghị ihe ọzọ ị ga-eji wee hụ anyị n'anya wee karịsịchaa anyị anaghị efe arụsị ọ bụ naanị gị bụ Chineke nna nkụzi niile nke ndị anyị ka anyị na-akpụ isi ala anya ya metụ gị n'obi nna ndị nsọ na anyị bụ ụmụ gị ya metụ gị n'obi na ala Biafra bụ ala nke gị ya metụ gị n'obi onye nwe anyị na Chineke nna ka i wee lekọtakwa Izrel ka isi elekọta ya na mgbe agbanyeghị atụmatụ ụjọ niile nke ndị iro anyị wee na-arịọ gị ka ịhụnanya gị wee mụbaa n'ebe anyị nọ ka iru gị wee chaa n'ebe anyị nọ ka i wee gozie ụmụ gị n'ụzọ pụrụ iche bụ ụmụ gị bụ ndị IPOB n'ụwa niile ndị tụrụ ugo ezinụlọ nke iji aka gị wee hiwe ka ọ ga-abụ n'ikpeta maazụ site n'ihe ịrịba ama nke gọọmenti ga-eme n'ime ndụ anyị ụwa niile ga-asị n'ezie na ndị dị etu a bụ ụmụ Chineke anyị wee na-arịọ gị ezi nna bi n'igwe ka i wee nara otuto nsọpụrụ ịja mma mbuli elu na ikpe isi ala ugbu a na mgbe niile ebighị ebi ka anyị na-arịọ gị ise. Thank you very much. Some of you have corrected. Did I say Abuja? Was in Ahaba. They met in Ahaba, not even Asaba. Ahaba. As we have a Habimeni as well. Across within Minneapolis, that some of you call, or should I say the white man named River Niger. We are here to preach this very gospel.
You say that is prayer from Onyendu, from the president, Maazị Nnamdi Kanu, ka aka nsi wee baa ha ọnụ. And the way it stands for now, aka nsi abakwana ha ọnụ ma ha amaghịzị na aka nsi abago ha ọnụ. Ndị na-ebu ndị iro nke Biafra. Otu a, our leader, our president, Maazị Nnamdi Kanu Soko ga-esi wee dị. Aka nsi ga-abụ nọ n'otu n'otu. People will see what you have done to yourself in due time. So as we proceed, let us listen to, for those clapping on way KCMia, oh, you need to form a party like IPOB, thing like that. The IPOB could be a party that Biafrans will be used to do politics under one Nigeria. IPOB organization and DOS and the Kenguru, all of them, and all the IPOBs under structure of DOS. They thought that the name IPOB is a party name under one Nigeria. What Ojukwu tried and failed. What Masna can understand very well, know that forming any party name to fight for Biafra to win an election and put a constitution, this and that, it never worked. But IPOB look at that, this is the way they can go on their own. And what happened to those who first started it? Where are they? To be the question. So that reason, let us listen to our hero, our internal leader, Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. Just listen at all.
I am seeking my return to Nigeria. I am seeking it through a constitution established by the military regime.
Before he returned back from Ivory Coast, where he could have introduced government in exile for us.
A party that transcends ethnic considerations.
They deceived him, he accepted.
A partner of other parts of Nigeria. The leader of the party for which I am standing is a northerner. There are many Westerners, there are Easterners in that party. I am, in fact, seeking a return legally and constitutionally into Nigeria, into a new Nigeria that I think I can serve.
But nonetheless, the very fact that Ojukwu comes back must mean a reopening of the old wounds. It must be a symbol of the war that took place.
No, actually, I don't think it is. I don't think in any way it is. First, the war. The war was not Ojukwu's war. I happened on the Igbo situation at the time of the conflict. I did my duty to the best of my ability. And I am glad that Nigerians generally recognize this fact. One man could not have held the entire Nigeria and her allies for 3 years. The Igbo people felt threatened.
Why don't you go back to Nigeria now and fight the election in person?
I would very much like to. I would very much like to. But I have already mentioned the obstacles that are being put in the way of a candidate to be a member of parliament. I'm not seeking political office. I'm not seeking government office. Just to represent my people 10 years after the end of the war. Obstacles are being put. Even people who just signed my papers are being imprisoned. It would be foolhardy for me at this stage to step into Nigeria. But I will go back. Once I become a member of parliament, once I can take my seat in parliament, I will go back. And I'll take my chance with my parliamentary immunity.
Are you seriously saying that all you want to be is an MP? Don't you want to be president?
Once I have decided to go into politics, then I want to serve the nation in the highest capacity and within my ability. If, as a politician, it comes my way that the party of which I am a member designates me as a presidential candidate, I would be extremely proud, and I would certainly contest.
I hope you had his plan. I hope you had Ojukwu's plan clearly. But what happened? Did he succeed? You need to come back. You need to form. You need to have a party. You need to have people in the parliament. You need to go to Congress. You need to be a senator. You need to be a governor. From there you will start. When Ojukwu tries, does it work? And now it's time to work in the IPOB. Those are carrying a flag outside. Never know the intention of those that you call your leader. They never believe that DOS, Chike, Doziem, China, Sanworu, they never believe that Biafra should be a country. That is one thing that all of you that are flowing, they never understand. That is why when they see anybody who wants to destroy that, their intention, That is the ability that they want to remain under the name of IPOB, that they are fighting for Biafra and did what? And achieved all their goals and their dream. These people thought that Biafra movement is a place that they can use to build their self. That is a place that they can use to do anything they want. This was the initial plan. That is why when they see anybody who is genuine, they will send their dogs, their irats to come and attack that person. Like how they said, we distance ourselves from the self-acclaimed declaration of Biafra. That is what brought me to this program today. How other countries in Africa have gone and they get their country today. How they have achieved their country. And how is it by what you are doing today? Is it by this propaganda you are carrying along? Is it by the way you are moving? Is how they achieve their nations? Why do they transition? And when do you want to transition? You as an IPOB member, when do you want to transition like every other country? It's not even in the Africa, both in the Europe, both in the Asia. Once they lost their country, they all transitioned into a government in exile. They did not just transition, they issued a peaceful redeclared of their country that they lost. Only through by a government in exile. This is how all of them, all the countries, there was a time, all of them are organizations. They have their names of the organization, but there is a maximum specific year they transitioned into a government. The government in exile they transitioned into quickly issued a peaceful redecoration or declaration of their lost country. They redeclare it. Those that just have it newly declare their intention. IPOB, is it intention that Biafra should be a country? IPOB, is it intention that Biafra should be a country? Is the question I am asking. If those that want their country, that lost their country in the past, and who those that regained their country, that today, that if all of them issued declaration and some issue redeclare, what happened to you? You see why you see why we wasted 14 years? Why Namibia protest for their movement take them 30 years for them to achieve their country? The same year, Namibia 30 years, Algeria 32 years. In all their movement of that Namibia, Algeria is a country. Total of 13 years, total of 32 years and 30 years. In these two countries, I've been continuously mentioning to you for you to go and learn from them. They all protest for 3 to 4 years. This one, Algeria protest for 4 years. Namibia protest for 3 years and 10 months. And they transition into a government in exile. Many of the transition to government in exile, they issued declaration and redeclared. There is a time of protest, yes. There is a time of a grassroots foundation mobilization. But how can a grassroots mobilization could pass 4 years? Going to our own is you in your IPOB today. It remains 14 years. By small months now, it becomes 15 years of protest. Have you never seen a child of 15 years that give a birth, their child? Have you never seen that? When people has give birth and some of their daughter and their son has transitioned into a government, has transitioned to become a human being, and you are still remaining in primary school, for how many years do you want to remain in this primary school that you are remaining in one place from the time or memorial till today. I am asking you, you need to answer me. A child you sent to school that spent 14 years in primary school, are you proud of that child? And are you going to be willingly, with happiness, continuously paying the school fees, continuously paying the textbook and the sewing the school uniform and buying sandals and all things that surround this child being in a school? I am asking you. You that is up to today, you are contributing money in the name of IPOB organization. You that is still contributing money in the name of IPOB organization. For how many years you want to contribute this money? Can't you learn a lesson from a country where you traveled, where you are claiming that you're in diaspora and you are doing protest? You forget that if you want Biafra as a country, that the language should go into exile. Are we the first people that won't go into exile in the world? The answer is no. In Europe, Belgium, in Africa, Algeria, then second to Namibia. The USB or Simon Ekpa was not the first to introduce government in exile. People in the past has introduced government in exile. And through the means of the government in exile, they did what? They issue the declaration or redeclared of their lost country. When are you going to redeclare? When are you going to declare this country that you claim that we are fighting for? That you that yourself knows that you are not fighting that Biafra should be a country. Who was the first country in Africa that was redeclared their lost country? It's Ethiopia. That is why I have them here. That is why this is what we have them here. What do you think that you are doing? When Ethiopia was the first country in Africa that lost their country, as a case study of our own case of Biafran people. And what happened? Ethiopia redeclared it. After they lost it, do they protest? Even if they do, how many of protests before the transition government before they do their transition into government in exile, and they now issue redeclared of their lost country? If Namibia that just declared it newly, that declared they want new country from out of South Africa, if the protest could take them 3 years and 10 months, maximum, 3 good years and 10 months is all it takes them, the transition government in exile, you that have been protesting in Ireland, in America, in Washington, D.C., in the UK for 10 years, for 14 years, are you not supposed to be ashamed of yourself? If you go to the other way of this, if you go to down of this my page on this headline, what you will see fully here is this: Expozz Ethiopia history of government in exile is what Usbg government is repeating. IPOB, Fallback Brgie Bgc Crc. Stop your madness. Stop this your madness. The life that has been lost is enough. The people that has been dead because of this movement is enough. What is that thing that is your problem? Because IPOB never won Biafra as a country. IPOB thought that IPOB organization is a political name that they will use to did what Ojukwu did in the past, and Ojukwu tried and failed. If Ojukwu won the election, normally he might win, but because of where his election is coming from, he can never win because they know he might divide the country and run into exile again. They never allow him to win. And since then, no Igbo man has won an election in Nigeria. Go and check the history. No Igbo man has won an election in Nigeria. That is where IPOB is building themselves up, and this is where they want to remain. This place you are building yourself up, that in all your documents of those that you are deceiving, those gullible that you are deceiving, that you claim you are the leader, you are their leader, you are the DOS structure. The document you are sending to the world power, maybe by tomorrow next, I will read that document. I will read all your documents that you are submitting to the United Nations. For those who are following you, who are championing holy, who are doing 1 million men march, for you to know those we are following. They never specify what they want. They never tell the world that why we are protesting is because of we want to have Biafra as a cause. Rather, they are protesting and submitting a document of a human rights abuse. If you say I'm lying, tell Chike Dozie, ask them to give you a copy of the document they are presenting, because Usbg give Nwoke Amaebe Drafia or Butozo. They give him the document of Usbg declared for him to read. And because of Nyawan, they cannot come out with anything good because they don't understand the English there. When you look at these people called DOS, look at the face of China Sanwo, look at the face of Chike Dozie, Ipob. If you look at all of them today, you can see in their face, their intention is that they want to maintain the political name, Ipob, political pressure group. That's all they wanted to, nothing more than that. When you look at, sit down, calculate everything that is happening into what we are doing, you will see how we are repeating the history. Are they repeating the history? The answer is no. Are they getting you behavior? The answer is no. But they're looking at you, pretending, doing to you as if they are fighting for Biafra for you. They are not fighting for Biafra for you at all. They are fighting for human rights under one Nigeria. They are telling UN the documents that they are sending, to analyze the documents under the international law, the document prove that they are asking Nigeria to treat them right. That Nigeria is not treating them right. That is why they have Ipob, DOS structure, as a political pressure group, not as a movement that leads into a country. Every country today that are country that lost, that are declared it newly, they transitioned into government in exile because the present country they are fighting for could not allow them to do anything without arresting them, without buying them, without intimidating them. The answer, they must intimidate you. So for you to be alive and for you to prove to the world that you want a country, what you're going to do is this. You transition. You moved away from that to the form government in exile. The structure of the international body language, the language of the UN, the language of the EU, the language of the AU, the language of the Commonwealth, the language of the ICJ, anywhere you can mention, their language is government in exile, not Ipob, DOS structure. Not at all. 14 years of deceiving you. Are you still a child for 14 years? All this Okoko I'm seeing. I mean, 14 years of your protests. 14 good years. Namibia, 3 years and 10 months of protest. They said, no, we have failed our people. We can't continue on this protest level. We must transition to government in exile. They transition. They issue their declaration. Algeria, transition. After 4 years of their protest on the street, they said, no, this is causing the arrest of our people. This has made France to declare us as a terrorist organization. The same happened to Namibia against South Africa. They all abandoned such names, transition into government in exile, and have a structure that nobody can call you terrorists again. Nobody can call you terror. Nobody can tag you rebel. Nobody can tag you insurgency. And all the things that we are passing through today. For how long? For how long? Wasted 14 years. Wasted our people in prison for 14 years. There is Biafrans that are in prison for over 14 years. They never come back to their homeland. There is Biafrans since 14 years because of Ipob election protest. They are in prison. Under UCMF4, their arrest was top-notch. Under UCMF4. If we saw the arrest of Biafran people under UCMF4, under Masakan was lesser. Under Obato, they are nothing. Because Obato never call for protest. Like the same way our DP never call for protest. All those that died today because of protest, their blood is the hands of DOS and UCMF4. They are the killers of our people through protest, sacrificing them to Fulani jihadis. How can a man who believes in Muslim, China Sanworu, or in Abisial, think he's fighting for Biafra for you? How? Honestly, you must change. We must change the game. Honestly, this game must change. And we have changed it through our peacefully declared of United States of Biafra that took place in Helsinki, Latvia, Finland, the November 29, 2024, is the only prayer answered as the endpoint of all the agitation, all the organizations. That is why if you touch this headline, all you will see full the headline. When I am asking IPOB organization, BGC, CRC, Fake Fallback Brgie, stop your madness and face reality, like every other country. In the history of all the countries in the world, all the organizations that transition to government in exile that are looking for lobby, congressmen has not organized any country. Congressmen have never recognized any country for those who use congressmen to deceive their gullible. These are the areas I want you to pay attention as we move this evening, as everything is about to begin. There is nothing that anyone can do to stop this movement. Now that we have the first time ever, we have come to the right track, how every other countries achieved their countries in the past. How many countries become countries? Even a country where you are, it's a high time you start from the country where you are. Start from the country where you are. This is a high time that you must start from this country where you are. Learn the history of country where you are, how they become a country. Ask how many years did they protest before they become a country. Ask, did the protests on the streets give this country where I am right now protesting? Is it true what I'm doing right now is how they are a country? Start asking questions. I said what? Start asking questions. Stop be olodo. Stop your madness. Stop. Stop your madness. Is what I'm asking you to do. Stop this madness so you can face the reality. The time we are into is where everything is in the open. The road to achieve Biafra is not in the secret, it's not a secret court. The road to achieve Biafra as a country is not a secret court. I see you, Amadi Shigos here. Amadi said, hashtag, I am a citizen of the United States of Biafra. He also said, hashtag, Nigeria must go. Biafra is a nation. Uche, your fault. Good evening, Mazi. Hashtag, I am a citizen of United States of Biafra, Usbg. Thank you. Odogu Frank, I see you. Good evening from here. If you're not subscribed on our page, we ask you to subscribe, please, if you never do so. Then like, comment, and share the program. It's very important. Doing that, you are inviting people to come and watch the program. So if you know that you love the program and want it to go viral, just do one thing, not me. Favor the message. That's what I always say. Don't like me. Don't call me names. Don't praise me. Praise the message. How? By sharing the message. That is how you praise the message. If it's the first time coming on our page, on your phone, there is a 3 dots like this on top of your phone. Click on that 3 dots. It will open. You will see like and share. Do that for the message, not for me. Because the message I am preaching is not my message. The message I am bringing is what has happened, that the history is repeating in the movements that you and I, after our peaceful redeclared. That is why I ask to share the message, so we can learn from others. Because we are born to learn every day. That is why we went to school, to read history and learn from those that have passed out from school, how you can pass and what you can read. That is why sometimes they always refer us to our past mark papers of those who have schooled out before us. Is it not true? That is the truth. That is what the world wants us. That is how this Biafra we are looking for. Now, after our peacefully declared, we have to follow the template of how others have achieved their own in the past. So on that note, let's listen to this. Let us even know at all if countries in Africa have used government in exile before us achieve their country. Let us know. So pay attention as we move. You will also hear how many years they protest. You will also hear when they transition. You will also hear from here how the government in exile, what they did after the government in exile. After that, wow, what happens to them? How many years have they been in exile? After they have issued it, after their territory was being occupied, does it stop that they are not sovereign nation? The answer is no. I have yesterday told you that the first country ever in the Europe that used government in exile to achieve their country is Belgium, seconded by Czechoslovakia. In Africa, Ethiopia, Algeria, and Namibia. These are how they got their country. And you think we will not got our own. Now, listen as I play it, then I will choose the one we started today, we never explain. So we're going to do the explanation on that today. So, but listen to this first.
In African history, the transition from political organizations and liberation movements into formal governments in exile, GIEs, was a defining feature of the anti-colonial struggle. The historical timeline reveals how these African administrations organized, how long they protested before taking that step, and who achieved the milestone of international recognition following a formal declaration. 1. The first African organization to transition into a government in exile. The Provisional Government of the Algerian Republic, known by its French acronym GPRA, Gouvernement Provisoire de la République Algérienne, was the first formalized, structured government in exile created by an African liberation movement in the modern era. How many years of protest before the transition? The transition into a government in exile was the culmination of over 30 years of political protest, nationalist organizing, and eventual armed conflict. 1926 to 1954, 28 years of political protest and organizing. Algerian nationalists spent nearly 3 decades trying to achieve equality, civil rights, and independence through peaceful political parties, protest movements, and rallies, such as the Étoile Nord-Africaine founded in 1926, and later the Parti du Peuple Algérien. These peaceful avenues were systematically crushed, banned, or ignored by the colonial administration, culminating in the tragic Sétif massacres of 1945. 1954, the pivot to armed liberation. Realizing that peaceful protest within the colonial framework had failed, nationalists united to form the National Liberation Front, FLN, in 1954, transitioning from protest to an active war for independence. 1958, the transition to government in exile. After 4 years of intense war, and a total of 32 years since organized nationalist protests began, the FLN officially transitioned its political structure into a formal state apparatus. On September 19, 1958, they issued an official declaration in Cairo, Egypt, establishing the GPRA as the legitimate government in exile for Algeria. 2. The first African government in exile to achieve international recognition after a peaceful declaration. The GPRA, Algeria, also holds the title of being the first non-state African entity to achieve widespread formal international recognition immediately following its declaration. Because France held absolute, heavy military control over Algerian territory in 1958, the declaration of the GPRA in Cairo was a political and legal action rather than a territorial one, making it a peaceful declaration of statehood from the outside while the war was fought on the ground. The timeline of recognition, 1958. The international community did not wait for the war to end to recognize them. Immediately following their declaration on September 19, 1958, a wave of international recognition followed. Day 1 to 7, September 1958. Within days of the declaration, neighboring African and Arab nations, including Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, Libya, Sudan, and Ghana, formally recognized the GPRA as the sole legal government of Algeria. Global expansion. Shortly after, global powers like China, Indonesia, and several Eastern European nations granted formal diplomatic recognition. The legal impact. By achieving international recognition despite having no physical capital inside Algeria, the GPRA successfully stripped France of its legal argument that the Algerian conflict was merely a domestic policing matter. It forced the international community to view Algeria as an occupied nation, with a legitimate, recognized government in waiting, paving the direct legal path to the Evian Accords and full independence in 1962. Other notable African parallel, bypassing territorial control. While Algeria was the first to transition its revolutionary front into a recognized provisional government, another vital African movement achieved a similar legal milestone entirely through international diplomacy. SWAPO, Namibia. Originally founded as a liberation movement in 1960 after decades of peaceful labor protests against South African apartheid occupation. In 1973, through intense diplomatic lobbying, the United Nations General Assembly passed Resolution 3111, formally recognizing SWAPO as the sole and authentic representative of the Namibian people. Like the GPRA, SWAPO achieved this international status and operated an external administrative structure for over 15 years before South Africa withdrew, and Namibia achieved physical independence in 1990.
One thing I want to remind you on this particular first session that we did in the afternoon is this, that Algeria only protests for 4 years. They have protests for 4 years. After the 4 years of protest, they transition into government in exile. After the transition to government in exile, they issue a peaceful declaration. They stop armed conflicts and work towards the peace side of it by issue peaceful declaration. From time of their protest to time of government in exile to time of declaration to time of recognition, it took Algeria 32 years in everything. The Algeria you are seeing that is a country today, their movement took them 32 good years. Both protests, 4 years. Both recognition, both declaration, both recognition, everything for them to take over their territory. It took them maximum 32 good years. Now, from us, from 1967 to 2026 is 59 years. We have never achieved, and we lost it. We have never achieved Biafra as a country. If you look at the way the people of Namibia followed their movement, or people of Algeria followed their movement, have we not wasted a time? Have we not wasted more time? Because of our people's mindset, because of the same betrayers that stopped Ojukwu. Nigeria did not stop Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, no. It's his own people stopped him, sabotaging him, moreover his elderly brother. and those he sent to go, and including Nnamdi Azikiwe, who's supposed to went to UN Parliament to be stand for Biafra. He went there to go and negotiate. Yes, 3PM, you are right. 3PM, you are right. 59 years that we still never achieved Biafra, except that USB declared was introduced through Simon Ebanjoko. Eba is giving the Muzara Beze the surrogate to make that we redeclare Biafra as a country. What took Namibia people 32 years? What took Algeria? Sorry, no, Algeria 32 years. Namibia 30 years. Is what is taking us how many? 59 good years. Now, inside these 59 good years, in the name from the time IPOB was registered till today at the list of IPOB, it has become 14 years of protest. Only IPOB alone. Forget myself. In these 14 years, that's if these people call themselves DOS from Ushemefo down to those who are handled call themselves DOS today, if they know the road to Biafra, what they could have to do is what Simon Ekpa did. They could have done it in 2015 when Mazi Kanu was first arrested. In Mazi Nnamdi Kanu first arrested was when he was supposed to redeclare Biafra as a country. And we could have not said it could have been the approximate time of the protest of Algeria and Namibia. If we could have done that. Now, let's leave Ojukwu alone. For the era of from IPOB, from the Ushemefo, when Mazi Kanu was being arrested from Lagos State, the first thing could have been this, what Abato be introduced. A man who knows the road and a man who never knows the road, Ushemefo and their cohort. Therefore, the Rwanya them, Omiomi them. They never know the road to have Biafra as a country. That is why they could not be able to issue government in exile. They could not issue even declaration at all. And the world is making it openly that the only government in exile we know for a country is one that issued, redeclared, or the one that declared a new country. This is what the world believes on. If we could have done that, now look at the 14 years. Now look at the 4 years of Namibia, sorry, Algeria. Look at the 3 years and 10 months of Algeria. Look at how they got their country. That is why we have to. That is why we're supposed to be angry by now. The only thing that cool off my mind is that I have understand that we have gotten it right for the first time. If there is no declaration of Algeria or Namibia, the world, they could have never recognized Namibia or Algeria as a country. Remember that this recognition starts from the day of the declaration first, or the day of the re-declared first. That is when you prove that the world that you are what? That you are a country, that you are no longer organization. That you have transitioned to a government apparatus structure of having a country, not being on the streets and protest. If you are in Ireland, if you are in UK, if you are in Washington DC, anywhere you are in this world today, and you are protesting them of IPOB, it's one of 14 wasted years. That our people are in prison for 14 good years, don't you know? Even those who were arrested from 1999 for Wazirike, they all still remain in prison till today in the name of Anachu Biafra. And Wazirike is in his house. Okay, Ushemefo is in Dubai doing his rubbish. And those he led that died, and those he led that in prison, he does not talk about them anymore. Can you see such a thing that is happening? Can you see, imagine that? Well, we must continue. Listen to this question. The question I'm going to play, I'm going to analyze this evening is this. My question is, I want to know more. I want more full information about from organization that transition into government in exile and issue peaceful declaration that achieved international recognition in Africa. Now we're talking about case of redeclare, those that lost their country, like you and I case is what I'm talking about. Mommy Margaret, I see you. Onyeka, I see you. Thank you. Triple M, I see you. Good evening to you all. I will come out to the comment section later. So listen to this. Remember the question. I want more full information about organizations that transition into government in exile and the issue peaceful declaration of their lost country and achieved international recognition in that question, they are now a country. Now listen to this.
To truly understand how an African liberation organization successfully transitions into a formalized government in exile, GIE, and uses a peaceful redeclaration or declaration to secure global recognition, we must examine the specific mechanics they use to outmaneuver colonial powers. Historically, European colonial powers dismissed liberation movements as mere internal rebels, insurgents, or domestic agitators to prevent other nations from legally intervening. By transitioning into a formal government in exile, African leaders dramatically rewrote the legal rules of their struggle. The deepest, most architecturally complete example of this transition in African history is the Provisional Government of the Algerian Republic, GPRA, formed by the National Liberation Front, FLN. 1. The strategy, moving from movement to state. In 1954, the FLN launched its liberation struggle. By 1958, despite heavy fighting, France maintained absolute control over Algeria's cities, borders, and major institutions. France legally categorized Algeria not as a colony, but as an integral department, province, of France itself, meaning any resistance was treated as domestic treason, not an international war. To shatter this narrative, the FLN realized it needed a diplomatic revolution to match its ground strategy. On September 19, 1958, the FLN leadership met in Cairo, Egypt, and issued a formal, peaceful declaration establishing the GPRA. By doing this, they changed their status overnight. Before the declaration, they were an armed political organization, FLN. Under international law, third-party countries could face diplomatic backlash from France for aiding them. After the declaration, they were a sovereign state apparatus temporarily operating without its territory, GPRA. Friendly nations could now extend formal diplomatic recognition directly to a government, bypassing France entirely. 2. The operational infrastructure of the non-territorial African state. Once the declaration was issued, the GPRA did not just exist on paper, it set up a highly sophisticated, functioning parallel state across multiple international borders. The headquarter hubs, Tunis and Cairo. Because they could not operate safely inside Algiers, the GPRA divided its administration. The political and diplomatic headquarters were established in Tunis, Tunisia, and Cairo, Egypt. These host countries granted the GPRA full extraterritoriality. Their office compounds were recognized as sovereign Algerian territory, protected by diplomatic immunity. The ministry stack. The GPRA structured itself exactly like an active peacetime government, creating specialized ministries to handle different aspects of sovereignty. Ministry of Foreign Affairs managed a network of diplomatic missions in major world capitals, including New York, Beijing, and London, to lobby foreign powers and the United Nations. Ministry of Information ran a highly effective global public relations apparatus, publishing the official state newspaper, El Mujahid, and broadcasting state radio messages back into occupied territory to maintain domestic loyalty. Ministry of Armaments and General Relations, MALG, handled logistics, intelligence, and secure communications, ensuring that the political leadership in exile remained in constant encrypted contact with the guerrilla commanders, Walayas, fighting inside Algeria. 3. Weaponizing international law, the Geneva Convention masterstroke. One of the most brilliant practical executions of digital and legal sovereignty occurred in April 1960, when the GPRA voted to formally ratify and sign the Geneva Conventions. GPRA Exile Cabinet, Tunis. Signs, instruments of accession. V. Kingdom of Libya. Proxy diplomatic route. V. International Committee of the Red Cross, Geneva. France was furious and immediately protested to the Swiss government, arguing that an exiled body with no territory could not legally sign international treaties. However, the GPRA successfully used this move to achieve two massive outcomes. 1. Sovereign legitimacy. By forcing the international community to accept their signature on a global treaty, they proved they possessed treaty-making capacity, a core attribute of a sovereign state under the Montevideo Convention. 2. Internationalizing the conflict. It legally bound the conflict to international humanitarian laws. The GPRA published a global white paper documenting French military violations, systematically dismantling France's claim that the war was a private domestic policing matter. 4. The path of international recognition. The immediate wave of recognition following the 1958 declaration was highly structured. The first countries to recognize the peaceful declaration of the GPRA were categorized into three strategic waves. Wave, key nations, strategic importance, the immediate neighbors, Tunisia, Morocco, Libya, provided physical sanctuaries, border access, and diplomatic conduits directly adjacent to the occupied homeland. The Pan-Arab and African allies, Egypt, Sudan, Ghana, solidified regional solidarity. Egypt provided heavy media broadcast networks and initial financial backstops. The global powers, China, Pakistan, Soviet bloc, provided heavy geopolitical leverage, veto support at the UN, and advanced logistics/arms supply to the exiled network. By the time France finally agreed to sit down at the negotiating table for the Evian Accords in 1962, they were no longer negotiating with a scattered group of regional protesters. They were forced to negotiate directly with the highly organized, internationally recognized diplomatic ministers of the Provisional Government of the Algerian Republic, proving that a structured, peaceful declaration of statehood from exile could successfully force a global superpower to concede physical independence.
I'm not going to write it here. And this is what they hide from us. Mazakan told us that the world will hide the truth from us. And the only thing you can do is to be where you are and making your noise and claiming that you are understand that you are getting it right. That's why I always use this word. When you wrote exam and you are the one to mark your exam, can you mark yourself bad? No, you always mark yourself good. But when others mark your exam, they will see the error. That is why no one has marked his exam. Who is that person that's not offending us to the author? But the reality is the ability to face the truth. The truth is that this is the only way we can achieve Biafra as a country, whether I like it or not. And it has been done and dusted through USV redeclared. Please, Ushen and my brother, I see you. Thank you so much. Maureen, I see you. Mama Great, thank you so much. Triple M, see you. Thank you for being here. It's me. I am glad and honored to have all of you on the comment section. Look at how Africans, do you know Algeria? Do you know Namibia? Do you know about Ethiopia? Do you know about Angola? Do you know about Zimbabwe? Do you know about Mozambique? Do you know about Seychelles? Do you know about all these countries in Africa? Do you know about them? Do you know how they got their country? Do you know why they are a country today? Do you know that? Those that lost it, are you the first person that formed the organization? It is obvious and open that every other countries in the world that are countries today started from organization. Is it not true that every other countries that are existing country today started from organization? United of America started with 13 colonies. That is what they started with. America started with 13 colonies. That is what they used to start as the name of the organization. How do they have issued their declaration? They start answering United States of America. When Algeria organized them, Algeria did not organize, Morocco never organized 13 colonies. They organized United States of America. Go and check when France organized America. They never recognized 13 colonies. No, they recognized United States of America as a country. not as an organization. Not as an organization. That country where you are, go and ask questions. There was a time there was started as an organization. But how do they recognize? They all been organized as what? As a country, not as a group, not as an organization, not as an individual. This is how many of them was being organized. It's not about what you think and how you feel. It's about the reality on ground. It is about how others transition. To truly understand how an African liberation organization successfully transition into formalized government in exile, GIE. Okay, will come and spell it for you. He's the one who formed it. He's the one who introduced it. No, he's a criminal. And he used a peaceful declaration or declaration to secure global recognition. What is that? Government in exile issue a peaceful redeclare or declaration of their loss of their new country, of the old, or those who lost their own redeclaration. That is how they do it. We must examine the specific mechanism that used to mobilize colonial powers. That the only way that with the power you have to outline those that overpowered over your country, like Nigeria overpowered with the help of British and everyone who helped Nigeria then to overpower and take out with the methods of our country. That the only way we can achieve it is by transition into government in exile. And we have to issue declaration or redeclared. That is the way we have to do it. Historical European colony powers diminished liberation movement as more internal rebel. You see, this is how they always look at it, that you are internal rebel. Once we are fighting to exit, they will give you names that will make you to be afraid. Insurgency or domestic agitator, to prevent other nations from legally interfering. They will destroy you. They will call you insurgency. They will tag you rebel. They will tag you all kinds of names that you see that was being tagged to us today. And the one that takes the IPOB is the fundamental one that we must exit ourselves out of it. Now that did anybody declare government in exile of Usbg terrorists? Have you ever anybody in the countries, not those that claiming they are fighting with us, if not for them that are giving us bad name, have you had anybody who give you such a name? Have anybody, any country or any international community or even Nigeria open mouth to say that government in exile of Usbg is an insurgency group, that they are rebel? It never happened before. It's not going to happen because we are on the right track, on the trajectory of the continuity of a lost country. That is where we are. Look at where we are. What are you doing? We have wasted 14 years, and you want people to continue wasting 14 another years again. Namibia wasted only 4 years, and they apologized to their people of not transitioning to government in exile earlier. Algeria wasted 3 years and 10 months. They apologized to their people, pleaded with them of not transitioning to government in exile earlier. And you that you have wasted 14 years, and you are still wasting more in the name of IPOB organization. The time has come for you to stop your madness. All of you must stop this your madness. You see, you're going to come out for thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Very long time. You are back. Thank you. By transition into a former government in exile, African leaders dramatically reviewed the legal rules of their struggle. They changed the level of the struggle. The only way you have changed the dynamic of the movement is by what? By transition into one thing. Only one thing, named government in exile, the language of the United Nations, the language of the America, the language of Israel, the language of ICJ, the language of AU, the language of EU, that you must transition into a government in exile. All the African leaders that understand how they will change the struggle into a country, they transition into a government in exile. IPOB, 14 years of wasted years. When are you going to transition into a government in exile to prove the continuity of a lost country by issue a peacefully declared of a lost country? When? IPOB, one family, we are moving on the 1 million man march. I never knew that all these years that I was protesting in Biafra land was just under self-determination of human rights abuse. Stop your madness. Stop your madness on the streets. Stop the criteria of calling you a rebel. Stop the criteria of tagging you insurgency. Stop the criteria of tagging you terrorist organization. That is what protests give. And that is what the occupying masters, that is what those that are oppressing us want you to continuously do it. So they can present to the world that you are a rebel group, that you are a terror group. You must stop. You must. Wow, one of our own, USB My Nation, please try and subscribe to USB. If you never do so, please. That is our own, our sister, USB My Nation. Please. If you never listen to her, these are those that speak good English. You know? Those, their intonation is like those in America. So please go there and listen. Go and subscribe for our sister, Wada, Nukuada. Ada, I welcome you. You are one of the comrades. I salute you, and I always like the kind of what I'm seeing whenever I watch your program. Honestly, I'm happy. Thank you so much. Most articles of African countries complete example of the transition into African history. Into African history, the transition of Algeria from GPRA into a government in exile that stops the wars, that stops the guerrilla warfare, the armed struggle, the protests that Algeria protested for 4 years and later apologized to their people that was in prison, that they set out to protest, and those that are under the FLN, their military outfit that was arrested. They apologized to them to introducing guerrilla warfare to them and those that was being arrested on the streets. Just only for 4 years. But IPOB on their movement, 14 years of protests. Algeria, 4 years. They transitioned into government in exile. In all round of the history of Algeria, it took them 32 good years for them to be where they are, for them to finally go back to their country. Even if when they declare it, there was in exile declared for 28 good years of Algeria. Algeria was in exile in Cairo, Egypt. Tunisia is their headquarters, where they are in exile. From the day of the declaration, they waited 4 years and came back and redeclared their lost countries. And what happened? As they transitioned, they issued the declaration. After they have declared, their territory was being occupied by France for 28 years, and they are there commanding and giving order to their people. First, that after they have declared, they closed chapter of protests. They move from the streets and improving a government structure and maintaining the standard, the template of the world, to give the world power to come to talk. That is why countries come to talk about them, like what is happening in USB declared this time around. Honestly, we must thank our GPM. And I will not thank only her alone. I will start from thanking Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that recommended Mazi Simon Ekpa. Then I will also from Mazi Simon Ekpa, then down to our DPM. What a man can do, a woman can do it better. Can you type that in the comment section? What a man can do, a woman can do it better. What is those that a man can do? When a man tries to fight for a new country, he always finds himself in prison. Look at my hand. These are names of countries that a woman declared. 10. I just want to get 10, not to add more. Our DPM repeated the history of Brazil. A woman stood up, declared Brazil. Brazil was declared 1822 September 2nd by a woman. 3PM, thank you. What a man can do, a woman can do it better, even better. Thank you, 3PM. You are in spirit. The Israel, gentle the Yahoo is calling Netanyahu was being declared by a woman. Israel was declared, the declaration of Israel as a country happened 1968, March 14. March 14, a woman. Belarus, that was from almighty Russia, Belarus. A woman, 1990, July 27, by a woman. Number 4, Congo, DR Congo in Africa. Congo in Africa, DRC Congo, 1960, June 30, by a woman. As I'm calling, ask Google. Canada, you know today. 1929, October 18, by a woman. Madagascar in Africa, 1960, June 26, by a woman. Tanzania, number 7, 1961, December 9, by a woman. 8, Mali in Africa, 1964, July 6, a woman. Ivory Coast, 1960, August 7, woman. Algeria, 1962, finally, woman. And none of this woman was arrested. And all the men that started the movement, all of them was in prison. You see all this country I mentioned here today? All the men who started the movement, all 10 of them was in prison. A woman took over. Today, they are all country. They started with organization. They was in prison. A woman declares it, and they come out, become first president of their nation. You want more of them? Let me give it to you. They stop protests in the IPOB, one family. We are doing 1 million members. We move IPOB. Stop your madness. That is why you are there. Mama Simon, at age of 70-something, stood up, open YouTube to preach you about Biafra, that you're supposed to relax and you're doing the job. A woman, she's doing it better. Go to her page. Go to page of Mama Simon at age of 70-something. You don't know that. What a man can do, a woman does it better. Take it or you leave it. Go and hug transformer. Go and hug transformer. Ask BGC, BRC, PUK, PKK, and all of them, Masov and the IPOB. Please give us, ask BG for fake fallback Brgie. Ask them to give you them of that country who declare and fall back. And they deny the declaration. Falling back means that you denounce the declaration. You don't know? It simply means that you denounce the declaration. When you fall back, then those like BGC, PUK, PKK, CCC, all these things, all these noise makers, They are just wasting their time. They are small organizations that are internal matter of USB, can never stop USB to get recognition, because the one of Algeria 9, Namibia 8, it never stopped recognition of Algeria as a country. The world said that first come, first serve must collect. Nah, mad people. First come, first serve, collect. That is who USB declared now. GPRA declared it in Namibia, in Algeria. SWPO declares it in Namibia. And after all the waka, they come south and do their parade. What happened? When the world started to recognize Namibia, remember them and Algeria, they go to them and said, we know you when you are using a name, SWPO. You are the one that first that declares Namibia as a country. Take recognition, you are a country. You declare the word, Republic of Namibia. From today henceforth, we, Morocco, have recognized you as Namibia as a country. Mokoko. For you to find that name, you see the way she writes it here at USB. The way you have to copy it from the comment section. This way she writes it here is the way you put the name so you can be able to see it. And also have you to subscribe to Mama Simon, Mama Simon. If you know, please be able to do that. We must support our own. Yes, he said, USB My Nation said, what man can do for Najiru cow, I think do not overdo it now. Just do it to one jai. Do it to one jai. You got to go. I am one of ma. USB My Nation, I am a of ma. So material one jai. I'm now. You got to go. Like if Onweka me and our sister Maureen, see how they do it. What a man can, woman can do it even better. Just material one jai. That's what they told you. I actually email you and material one jai. USB My Nation. Thank you so much. Thank you. So when all these countries in Africa have today, they are all countries. If they can stop protests in 4 years, this one stop for protests in 3 years and 10 months and declare their nation. First, they did not declare. They transitioned into government in exile. Simon Ebanjoko, the man of the moment. May Elohim protect you and guide you. He shall be well with you. What you seek, we have gotten it. Honestly. When you rally around of their movement, Algeria, 32 years, Namibia, 30 years, in all, to achieve their country. And you are here messing up. Number one, the strategy moving from movement of a street to a nation in waiting through a government in exile issued a peaceful declaration already declared. Now listen, in 1954, the FLN launched its liberation struggle by 1958. You see the 4 years. In these 4 years is the 4 years of the protests and the wars. Guerrilla warfare that you are claiming you are inside the bush. Your name is Botos, your name is Jello Makeup, your name is Endo de Yahoo. You are triple quarter inside the bush, inside the man. That is where you are claiming a triple general. Algeria people did it in 4 years, and they said, no, we can't be inside the bush. We leave it. We must come out. We must stand with our government. The government issued the direction and they stand with the government. Today, they are a nation. In a new man order, is there a new Biafra order? Because Mezu is not the one in charge of Biafra country. He is the citizens. We are in charge. By 1958, despite heavily fighting, France maintained absolutely control over Algeria's citizen, border, and the major institutions. France legally categorized categorized Algeria not as a colony, but as an internal disparate province of France itself, meaning any resistance was treated as a domestic treason, not international war. Or whatever that happens, they make it connect. Ndị ha nwudere ndị Algeria bụ Liberation Army nwudere n'aka ndị Algeria ha kpọọ ha ndị terror. It's not what the world is calling you, Gento. Because of you are doing protests. Because of what? All of you remain under protest. That is why the world is calling you terror. That is why the world don't care whatever Nigeria is doing to us, because we are not in the standard they want us to be until we come back there. Until we come back where USB were declared. Do you see that claim? USB my nation. That is only what removes you from terror. That what removes you from treason. That what removes you from insurgency. That what removes you from rebel. You never knew that. You know it from today. That is why Batobia is the best man for all of you. That is why you must worship mother of Biafra. It's not by Gragra. Now the intelligence, where our sister intelligent, that's where the thing is working. You don't know that. Each and all man are gonna walk. I'm not gonna make protest. Oh, question, give me protest. Now, why your uniform? A go and red and a go and care white, a go and care blue. IPOB and I need your son. EJ, thank you so much. What in the can you got standard level in here? You're on point. Thank you so much. One love. One love. Oh, where do you make protest? Oh, where do you bro coordinator? Nagana mbo masaka n'iru mo ndo nwoke na ụmụ Biafra ada n'akụkụ Chukwu oke abịa ma zọba ma dị m ndụ ị ka na-agwa m protest nke nwa bụ uche mefọkpọrọ anyị protest ebe ekekwa today ngwa vo omio Clifford uru anya, where are you today? On Adagal, on Nonima underground, where all of you will be buried and be forgotten. What of those that enter prison from massacre? They never come back to you today. They never been released. None of them has been released. Massacre. Those that were arrested that day, and look at it. If you did not run, I could have one of them that could have hold. IPOB. Why anymore? What I hope will report something working here. I was scared maybe I come into prison, but school can be my simba. In our protest, mad people. In our abroad, not for protest. To change the narrative, the FLA realized it needs to diplomatic recognition to match its ground strategy. On September 19, 1958, the FLN leadership met in Cairo, Egypt, and issued a formal peaceful declaration, established the GPRA. They established what? That is when they established the organization. Before, they was using the military way as the only way to achieve Algeria as a country. But later they said no. In 1958, September 18, is when it happened. They changed their movement. What happened? By doing this, they changed their status overnight. They changed their status overnight. Walked away from protest group that was being tagging, that France was tagging people of Algeria. They tagged them terrorist organization. They tagged them insurgency. They tagged them rebel. All the names that they are being called today, that is what there was being tagged. and you are here. Hey, Jesus. When I have wasted my time, and I may protest. The mother, I think when there was those that were arrested in Paul massacre, 2012, 2013, 2014, they never come back to you today. They still remain in prison. Paying a price in a wrong way. When you pay a price in a right way, like what our sister Maka, our sisters working in Tommy that he came Guru Agu and Chinasa Woru and Oge and Kere and arrested. Or like our brother Dominion. They are paying the price right now in a right way because they are paying a price. I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. It's quite different of paying a price on the IPOB organization that all of them has been denounced today. Which MF4? Where is him today? Where is the Ken Guru Ago? Where is Omiomio? Clifford Uruanya? Where is the Neneanya? People that are calling us there and back home. They're all on the ground. Before the declaration of Namibia, they were armed political organization under international law. Third-party country could face diplomatic backlash from France for claiming their one country under protest that leaded to arrest of the many Algerian people. Now, listen. After the declaration in 1958, September the 19th of Algeria, they were sovereign state apparatus, temporary, operating without its territory. Hey, you claim Biafra as a country, but you are in exile. Nigeria is everywhere, arresting our people. Amen to them. Alakukwa God. Alachiri Hokonyo. Because you know him na bendi Algeria. You know him na bendi. You didn't hear what happened to Namibian people. Ekwetu tegu nyilihu. Ndo ojo. Nde mmanyu oku. Ndị ga-ama otu esi nweta Biafra si country ị na-achọ party ala kwokwa God amadi hamabukwe konta ile ahala otu n'otu ile eme BGC ile eme Fallback ile eme Masol ile eme IPOB 14 years of Iberiberism and you still continue in Ireland this year. Hey, we are here. This is St. Patrick's Day. We are IPOB, one family. We are doing 1 million march. Ala godo isi gbogbo ile me 1 million march nne nke menye eme na ụlọ kere ebe ha nọkwa gịnị gị na akwa ka wepụta. And you never heard that none of them will be released unless Biafra has to start a country and Biafra has to start a country for them to be free. In a time has come to you for stop the madness. Transition in your house from being a single man to be a married man, from being a married couple, no children, to have a child in their home. That is what is called transition. It's only this movement. There is no transition under IPOB because they are a party structure of pressure, political pressure of one Nigeria. They want to maintain eating money from the hands of Nigeria, like they think that there is Boko Haram in the north. That IPOB should be a political pressure that's pressuring the Nigerian government. You don't know that? Ndị hafa mere o nwere na snow kwibo na asị na ọrụ na-eri bego na kama nke na-eri ga-emechi nke ribegheri ya no ya ofu ebe ọkwụ ya ka ndị IPOB na-eme gị ndị DOS na-eme gị na-eweta ego na-atụnyere fa oru Saturday mapụta 30th Hero Day ị mara na ihe na-eme bụ cultural day no ihe ndị ụwa kpọrọ ya ma ọ bụrụ na inwe ha gọọmenti in exile ma ọ bụrụ na ihe ichu ha declaration of a lost country ịmakwan asking the time has from Branila Kwafru starting from 2012 to 2024 all the needs in the IPOB organization and the branding for 2026 process all the needs on channel needs you called because USB is not calling for protests. So you, we, in my IPOB, for the criteria of recognizing a country, it's not about population. No, it's about the legal rights. It's about legitimacy. It's about the diplomatic movement of government in exile. And checking the history of all those that achieved their own. Or if you have 100 countries that are lost or the way they got about them, 65 transition governments in exile. I have counted for you 27 since I started. Different names of countries with different organizations. And the 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they end protest. They move away from streets. In the street now, the only day you remember your flag, open an island in anything of their culture. Ibripota, ebia wegu. Eba si egwe na po, une rice more Fanta, account ega to refua. That is what you stand for. I challenge you in Ireland. I challenge you in the UK. Please tell your DC, tell your DOS to give you a document they are submitting to the United Nations. If I not submit human rights abuse and begging to UN to ask Nigeria to this man and they can, this is what they are submitting. And I challenge you, give me one country that protest is the way they have achieved their country. I will shut down this YouTube. And I said I will apologize openly. I will go to the platform and apologize that what I was doing, that I was not giving a real information. Give me one country in this world that they are on the streets. You know, when I was on the ground, honestly, why I take it serious that I thought that we will be in those streets one day protesting, and the United Nations or UN or America will announce that Biafra is a country, that Nigeria should leave us and go. I never knew that I was wasting time. I never do that until now. Until I told you, Simon Ebanjoko, Mwejire Buago, the spirit of Biafra arrested him to Jamili Nuyam, president of mad. And here we are today as a nation. USB terrorist. Hata dia USB terrorist kaimana. It should not be in a query na Lazuba, Madame Pole, that you are. They Pole woman because no people. The bias na one bar at Shawo Bar. Ifra Poe ni how was able Pole. Because oh my god, the game, all double captain call a boy Pole. Madame Pole in Lazuba never knew that even the people of as of today, that the countries that want to exit again from South Africa, they have went in exile in France, so where she is. And they have declared it. They declared 25, but they are not effective like USB declared. After the declaration, we are sovereign states. Once you declare, it becomes what a sovereign state. A sovereign state that lost their territory. Friendly nations could now extend a formal diplomatic recognition direct to the government in exile that issue a peaceful declaration. That is when the world sees you as a nation. The other countries may come. They call them what? Friendly nations. We now call, because through a declaration, you have become a nation. Because you are no longer protest agitator group that are causing noise inside people's country. Number two, the operational infrastructure of the non-terrorist territory African states. Once the declaration was issued, once the declaration was issued, please bring Fallback, let them come. The GPRA stopped answering GPRA organization from that day of 19th September 1958, starts working, answering Republic of Algeria. They do what? They start with what? Republic of Algeria is their name. Then GPRA automatically becomes a party name of the people of Algeria. Umu itim pataka, umu ajana, umu ekwensu. Had I know is coming, all of you will cry, but tears will not come out. You will cry, blood will dry in your body. The time is coming. Continue on, continue on na parade. Continue on awusiare na awusike. Continue. He set up a high functioning parliament states across multiple international bodies. The headquarters of Algeria people, Cairo, Egypt, and Tunisia is where they are, where the government in exile has the headquarters. Cairo, Egypt, and Tunisia. Today, our headquarters is Washington, D.C. and also Finland. You see how the history is repeating. Because they could not operate safely inside Algeria. Bring Fallback, bring IPOB. Let them, that's why I put all of you names. Bring BGC. He declared their country. You are in exile. There is a military everywhere. And you claim you are a territory. You claim you are a nation. Come listen to what happened to Algeria people. Because they could not operate safely inside Algeria. The government divide its administration into two. The political and the diplomatic headquarters were established in Tunisia and the Cairo, Egypt. The host countries grants the government in exile of Algeria fully, extremely the office to come to compound them where they will be until they achieve their sovereign recognition of the people of Algeria territory. Then Tunisia and Egypt protect all the government in exile of Algeria and recognize them. Do you hear that? That is what Evo Finland could have done for us. The ministry strategy. The GPRA structured itself as actually like an active government of people of Algeria by creating ministers to handle different aspects of their sovereignty while they remain in Cairo, Egypt, and Tunisia. The Minister of Foreign Affairs managed a network of diplomatic missions in major world capitals, including the New York, Beijing, and the London, to lobby foreign powers and the United Nations while they remain in exile and answering a name of a country, Algeria Republic, that was declared 1958, September 19. This is how they started. Until they achieved the recognition, after decades, they went back to their territory and they take control of their territory. That forces France to exit and have agreement with them that from today you are a nation, because UN has already organized them and many countries in Africa and Asia, in Europe. Number 3, the international community weaponized Algeria after their brand recognition that triggered a heavy fight between the people of France and Algeria in 1960. Now, remember Gunther or somebody from Australia that asked that America should recognize Biafra and give us weapons to defend our territory. That is what happened to people of Algeria. One of the most deliberate excursion of digital and legal sovereignty occurred in April 1960 when the government in exile voted to formally ratify and sign the Geneva Convention treaties that they are no longer into armed struggle, that we are a peaceful country. France was famously and immediately protest to the Swiss government, argued that when Swiss government organizes Algeria, France sat protest too and said, no, you will not organize them. I am never going to allow you to recognize people of Algeria as a country while we are here. That is not possible. And what happened? It happened in their own very eyes. How Namibia becomes a country. And how they later flew away from their territory. And finally, Namibia becomes a country. Who are these countries that recognizes Namibia? Remember that Algeria, from 32 years, 4 years of protests, 28 years of declaration and waiting for recognition. How old is Usbg redeclared? How old is Usbg redeclared? Can you answer? How old? Would you need to calculate 28 years of Algeria in exile in Cairo, Egypt, and Tunisia? And what happens? The first recognition of Namibia, Tunisia, followed by Morocco, Liberia, recognize them. They never travel down to their country. They wait. Egypt, Sudan, and Ghana recognize them. Do they travel? No. China, Pakistan, Soviet bloc or Soviet Union recognize them. Finally, they travel down into their country. They take over their territory. Mad people. In a fall back. In a IPOB. One before every OB is a boy. Every OB is a boy. Every year candy one. Every year candy. No movement. No nothing new. The pattern of 14 years. You are doing the same thing. And you are expecting another different result. And I challenge you, bring me that country that you are repeating their history, that how they become a country is by agitation and protest on the street. Please bring them, bring them, bring them. If you are not bringing them, you are deceiving yourself. Eh? Why can't we learn? Why can't you learn? Please, now we are moving into session 2 of the program quickly. Remember the headline, Expozz Ethiopia history of exile government is what Usbg is repeating. IPOB, Fallback Brgie Bgc Crc, stop your madness. Now, listen to what happened to Ethiopia. And you look at what Usbg is doing. Tell me the difference. Listen to this. After this, I'll put the link. So for those who want to join us, they can join us quickly.
If we focus specifically on the scenario where an already existing African country was completely lost to an outside invader or occupying force, its leaders formed a government in exile, GIE, issued a declaration or redeclaration of their sovereignty, and successfully used international law to win their country back. There is one standout historical example that fits this.
Remember, McArnold said he don't know about international. McArnold, Ethiopia used Ethiopia used international law, achieved their country have lost. That is what they use. They achieve what? Their country back.
Exact criteria. Ethiopia. The historical blueprint. The Ethiopian government in exile, 1936 to 1941.
Listen.
Ethiopia holds a unique status in African history as the country that successfully executed the sequence of losing its territory, operating in exiled sovereignty, and gaining international recognition back to restore its independence.
Are you hearing it?
1935. Italian invasion v. 1936. Country lost, occupation begins.
Do you hear
v.
it? Like our
Emperor
own
Haile
case.
Selassie flees to UK/forms GIE to Ichi. 1938. Iconic legal protest and sovereign redeclarations v. 1941. Complete liberation and international recognition restored. 1. How the country was lost. 1936. In October 1935, Fascist Italy under Benito Mussolini launched an unprovoked brutal invasion of the legal independent empire of Ethiopia, then widely known internationally as Abyssinia. Despite fierce resistance, the Italian military used advanced weaponry and outlawed chemical weapons, mustard gas, to overwhelm the Ethiopian forces. By May 1936, the capital city of Addis Ababa fell. Italy declared the total annexation of the territory, merging it with Eritrea and Somalia to form Italian East Africa. The sovereign country of Ethiopia was temporarily erased from the physical map. 2. The move to exile and the redeclaration of sovereignty. Emperor Haile Selassie I refused to surrender or sign away the sovereignty of his nation. He went into exile, establishing a temporary headquarters and government in exile in Bath, England, Fairfield House. The pivotal moment of peaceful legal redeclaration happened on June 30, 1936, when Haile Selassie addressed the League of Nations, the predecessor to the United Nations, in Geneva. In an iconic speech, he issued a formal diplomatic declaration to the world. He rejected the legality of the Italian occupation. He redeclared that Ethiopia's sovereignty remained intact under international law, famously warning the global community, *, it is international morality that is at stake. God and history will remember your judgment. 3. The battle for international recognition. Initially, the international community was weak. Under the policy of appeasement, major powers like Great Britain and France actually considered recognizing Italy's de facto control over Ethiopia to avoid a wider war. However, the Ethiopian government in exile continuously used international legal principles to maintain their standing. They argued the principle of ex injuria jus non oritur. Unlawful acts cannot create legal rights. Because Italy broke global treaties to invade, the international community could not legally recognize the conquest. They maintained diplomatic channels and refused to shut down their legations abroad, keeping the legal identity of the lost country alive in the eyes of international courts. 4. Winning the country back, 1941. The legal and diplomatic persistence of the government in exile paid off when World War II broke out globally. The moment Britain went to war with Italy, the legal status of the Ethiopian government in exile shifted from a sidelined movement to an official, crucial wartime ally. The liberation, backed by the British military and local Ethiopian freedom fighters, Usbg, a liberation campaign was launched. The return. On May 5, 1941, exactly 5 years to the day after the capital had fallen, Emperor Haile Selassie marched back into Addis Ababa. The international community immediately restored full, undisputed international recognition to the domestic Ethiopian state. The government in exile successfully dissolved because its mission was accomplished. It had successfully preserved the legal continuity of a lost country through exile, and safely brought its sovereignty back home to African soil.
I hope this is what we repeated today. This is the case that USB is repeating right now. Ethiopia lost their country. They run to London, form government in exile. They redeclared their country back. And as it may happen, there is war between Britain and Italy. They gained their country. And they say that when they lost their country, that their map or their flag was removed out of the world map. Like our Biafran map was removed, proving that you lost your country. There is no romance about this word. I don't romance it. I say it the way it is because that is the only way you may understand this program clearly. That is how you can follow me and understand the program clearly. It's not about the other way around. It is about the truth. How those that lost their country, how they achieve it back. There is no amount of internal matter that stopped them. And do you think at that time they did not have betrayers? They did not have rebels and saboteurs. They do. It happens to them. They all went through that. They all passed through what we're passing through today. Do you hear that? Even Ethiopia did not waste time. Their own is just 5 years. They have lost the war. Their country. They redeclare. That's why I said, if Chukwuemeka Odumegwu understand the criteria of government in exile and issue and maintain it then, it could not take. That is why US declared we will not take us 30 years of Namibia or 32 years of Algeria before we achieve recognition. Because our case is a case of a lost country. That's our peaceful redeclared is what they called the continuity of the lost country, to prove that this country was just lost on the territory, but the people are believed that this is who they are. That is why Mazi Kanu is in prison, because he believes that he's a Biafra, not a Nigeria. That is why Simon Ekpa is in prison. He believes that I am a Biafra, not a I am a Biafran, not a Nigeria. This is what happened. That is how all this that you are seeing today. You see the noisemakers. You see all these people, whether they are IPOB, this and that, blah, 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 they have nothing to offer us. This is what? They have nothing to offer. So, let's play it again before we go into our analysis. And please, hold up my time. If you want to enter to contribute, you are free to use the link to enter.
If we focus specifically on the scenario where an already existing African country was completely lost to an outside invader or occupying force, its leaders formed a government in exile, GIE, issued a declaration or redeclaration of their sovereignty, and successfully used international law to win their country back. There is one standout historical example that fits this exact criteria: Ethiopia.
Do you hear it clearly? That if you are looking for this history on this scenario of USB, of Biafra that lost their country, that's exactly history of our own. The example is what happened in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is, that is why after my research, I found out this is the history that we are repeating. Even if we started late, but nobody is no Igbo na mbo iteto na bototo ya. Bgc anytime you wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, it's your morning for you. Even if it is 1 o'clock, you are just waking up, it's your morning. We are already existing African countries was completely lost to an outside invade or occupying force. It is its leaders form government in exile, GIE. Issue a peaceful declaration or redeclaration like Ethiopia. Like Ethiopia. They issued words. Do you see that government in exile has a work? That the first work of government in exile is what? Is issue a peaceful declaration or redeclaration of their lost country. You must redeclare it back and take it from there. And what do you declare? You declared what? Sovereignty. That is what Ethiopia declared. As they have lost their country, they declared their own. And our own is not what we declare. We hold on protest. We hold on until Mazi Kanu comes out. For those who believe it's only Mazi Kanu, it's only Simon Ekpa. I have read to you out of countries that the woman declares because of the former leader was arrested, put in captivity under the hands of the oppressor. I approve it to you. What else do you want? And successfully, after the peaceful redeclaration of their sovereignty and successfully used international law to win their country back. Are you hearing it? To win their country back. There is no standout historical example that fits this except the criteria of Ethiopia. That is why I said that now that we are walking through a peaceful way, through the legal win, McArnold, Ethiopia used legal win to achieve their country back without even controlling 1% of their territory. Elias, Ogenkere, and all of you. Ekwem, my man, you are welcome. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button to join us. The historical blueprint. Ethiopia, government in exile. 1936 to 1941, they lost their country. Ethiopia holds its status in Africa history as the country that successfully executed their lost country territory, operating an exile sovereignty. Operating what? Exile sovereignty first. And gaining international recognition after they have issued a peaceful redeclaration of their lost country. In 1935, they lost their country. The country was invaded by Italy. In 1936, Ethiopia, that lost their country, did what? Transition into government in exile. In 1938, Ethiopia stopped protests and issued declaration of their lost country. 1941, they become a full nation, get recognition back, and they take their country back. How the country was lost in 1936? In October 1936, Italy, under invade of the invasion of the legal of independence empire of Ethiopia, the widely known as international power that destroyed the resistance military of Ethiopia and take over their territory. And Ethiopia in 1936 May formed a government in exile. And after they have lost their country, they form what? Government in exile. Then, as they form the government in exile, we are in London and Eritrea and Somalia granting recognition. The sovereign country of Ethiopia was temporarily, physically removed out of the map without recognition. After they have lost it. Like Usbg, like Biafra was temporarily removed out of the world map. Can you hear it today? That Ethiopia map was removed out of the world map because of what? That they have lost their country. They are no longer in charge of their country. And on that note, what happened? The map was removed. Their map of their country called Ethiopia, that was already a country, removed. Like when we, the Biafran people, was fighting against Nigeria, our map appears. That is why the plight of Bonny, that they changed the plight of Biafra, they call it the plight of Bonny. Today, that place, the plight of Bonny has come back to become the plight of Biafra back because of what? Usbg redeclared. Because of what? We have redeclared our country back. This is how these people, this is how countries achieve their country. Now, let's continue. By May 1936, the capital of city of Addis Ababa fell. They do what? They fell in 1936, 1935. Then, the same 1936, the country of people of Ethiopia transitioned into government in exile in England, in Eritrea, and Somaliland and Somalia. What happened? Listen. They moved to exile and they redeclared their lost sovereignty. They moved into exile and they redeclared their lost sovereignty. That is where United States of Biafra is repeating the history of Ethiopia in Africa. When they declare it, the Italy government refuses to surrender. Look at it. Listen to this word. Italy refused to surrender or sign away from the sovereignty of the nation of Ethiopia. They refused to move out. They did what? They refused to walk away from territory of Ethiopia. What happened? Ethiopia went into exile, established a temporary headquarters, a government in exile in England. That is where they established government in exile, their headquarters, like our own in Washington, D.C. today, through our DPM, and in Finland, through our Batodie, because the people of Ethiopia have three, the London, the England, the Eritrea, and the Somalia. What happened? The peaceful redeclaration of Ethiopia in June 1936, June 30, 1936, they issue it back to government in exile. That time, the law is about the Geneva Convention. They maintain the Geneva Convention criteria. They win through legal. Are you hearing it? They use legal to win. So today, USB redeclared is fighting through legal way, not through armed struggle, because Ethiopia stopped armed struggle, going into the reality that they redeclared their lost sovereignty. What we did in Helsinki, Latin Finland, on November 2024 was what? We redeclare our lost sovereignty, proving what they call the continuity of a lost country. The continuity of a lost country. That is why you have to do what? Redeclare. Are we the first to redeclare the lost country? Ethiopia was the first in Africa that after they have lost their existing country, they transition into government in exile. We are in England. We again in Eritrea. We again in Somalia. That is today fighting against Somaliland. If we go to what happened? Italy rejects the legitimacy of the redeclared of Ethiopia in 1936, June the 30th. They refuse. Does it end there? Listen. They redeclared Ethiopia's sovereignty remain under international law, famously waiting for global recognition after they have issued a peaceful redeclaration of their lost country, waiting for the right judgment of what? Recognition of their country. The battle for international recognition after they have issued a peaceful redeclared. Internal, the international community was weak, under the policy of approximate major power like Great Britain, and France actually consider recognizing Italy de facto control over Ethiopia to avoid world war. Do you see this mago, this that's not that these people call Britain started it. You are waiting for them to recognize us. It's a pure lie. They never, even though that Ethiopia was in England and issued this declaration, they kick against it. They refuse to recognize them because they say we don't want that they might recognize this Ethiopia that Italy will bring war to them. Do you see that? Between British and France refused to recognize this Ethiopia redeclaration of their lost country because of interest they have in Italy government. However, the Ethiopian government in exile continuously use international law principle to maintain their standard or their standing of a peacefully declared. You can't claim peaceful and claim war at the same time. You will choose one. Ethiopia choose to remain peaceful as they have declared their lost country. Because they went through war and found out that war is no good. That is what our DPM is repeating today. The legal winning of Ethiopia is how Usbg we must achieve Biafra recognition as a country. And it is possible. They argue the principle of extradition of non-unlawful acts cannot create legal rights because Italy broke global treaty to invade the international community could not legally recognize the Ethiopia as a country. After they have done, they warn that if anybody recognizes Ethiopia as a country, that they are going to bring war to those people. Does this stop recognition of Ethiopia as a country? Let's find out. They maintain diplomatic channels. Ethiopia maintain diplomatic channels under peaceful, refuse to go into armed struggle back. They open embassies in different border of countries in the world and look at it as an embassy. Under the eyes of international law, they all remain embassy, a country in waiting that are seeking recognition. Now, the final win, the country winning their country back in 1941. Remember, 1936, they issued declaration. 1941, they did what? They win. They win. They win their country back in 1941. Now, from 1935 to 1946, how many years? Remember, this case of a lost case. From 1935 to 1941, how many years of Ethiopia? This is what took Algeria and Namibia 32 years because of they just declared their own. But in the case of redeclare, that is why our own case now is quite different. Now we are maintaining the continuity of the lost Biafran War 1960 to 1970 down to November 2024 of our issue a peaceful redeclared of lost country. The legal and diplomatic presence of the government in exile. Do you hear it? Ethiopia government you were in exile. The government in exile paid off when World War II broke out globally. The movement of British went to war with Italy. The legal strategy of Ethiopia government in exile shifted from sideline movement to an official automatic recognition for them to have their country back. Now Italy is in war. The liberation of Namibia, listen. The liberation of Ethiopia. The return of May 5, 1914. Effectively 5 years to the day after the capital had failed. After they have failed woefully. they later regained their country back. By who? By issue a peaceful redeclared of the lost country via government in exile. This is how Ethiopia, that you are hearing today, that lost their country, become a full nation today. What are you still waiting? What are you waiting for? To embrace USB redeclared. Now, with this, do you also believe with me that USB is repeating the history of Ethiopia? Now, is it clear to you that USB is repeating the history of Ethiopia, and through government in exile, that we are not the first and we're not going to be the last? So listen to this again.
The historical blueprint, the Ethiopian government in exile, 1936 to 1941. Ethiopia holds a unique status in African history as the country that successfully executed the sequence of losing its territory, operating in exiled sovereignty, and gaining international recognition back to restore its independence. 1935. Italian invasion v. 1936. Country lost, occupation begins v. Emperor Haile Selassie flees to UK/forms GIE to Ichi. 1938. Iconic legal protest and sovereign redeclarations v. 1941. Complete liberation and international recognition restored. 1. How the country was lost, 1936. In October 1935, Fascist Italy under Benito Mussolini launched an unprovoked brutal invasion of the legal independent empire of Ethiopia, then widely known internationally as Abyssinia. Despite fierce resistance, the Italian military used advanced weaponry and outlawed chemical weapons, mustard gas, to overwhelm the Ethiopian forces. By May 1936, the capital city of Addis Ababa fell. Italy declared the total annexation of the territory, merging it with Eritrea and Somalia to form Italian East Africa. The sovereign country of Ethiopia was temporarily erased from the physical map. 2. The move to exile and the redeclaration of sovereignty. Emperor Haile Selassie I refused to surrender or sign away the sovereignty of his nation. He went into exile, establishing a temporary headquarters and government in exile in Bath, England, Fairfield House. The pivotal moment of peaceful legal redeclaration happened on June 30, 1936, when Haile Selassie addressed the League of Nations, the predecessor to the United Nations, in Geneva. In an iconic speech, he issued a formal diplomatic declaration to the world. He rejected the legality of the Italian occupation. He redeclared that Ethiopia's sovereignty remained intact under international law, famously warning the global community, *, it is international morality that is at stake. God and history will remember your judgment. 3. The battle for international recognition. Initially, the international community was weak. Under the policy of appeasement, major powers like Great Britain and France actually considered recognizing Italy's de facto control over Ethiopia to avoid a wider war. However, the Ethiopian government in exile continuously used international legal principles to maintain their standing. They argued the principle of ex injuria jus non oritur. Unlawful acts cannot create legal rights. Because Italy broke global treaties to invade, the international community could not legally recognize the conquest. They maintained diplomatic channels and refused to shut down their legations abroad, keeping the legal identity of the lost country alive in the eyes of international courts. 4. Winning the country back, 1941. The legal and diplomatic persistence of the government in exile paid off when World War II broke out globally. The moment Britain went to war with Italy, the legal status of the Ethiopian government in exile shifted from a sidelined movement to an official, crucial wartime ally. The liberation, backed by the British military and local Ethiopian freedom fighters, Usbg, a liberation campaign was launched. The return. On May 5, 1941, exactly 5 years to the day after the capital had fallen, Emperor Haile Selassie marched back into Addis Ababa. The international community immediately restored full, undisputed international recognition to the domestic Ethiopian state. The government in exile successfully dissolved because its mission was accomplished. It had successfully preserved the legal continuity of a lost country through exile and safely brought its sovereignty back home to African soil.
They have finally brought back home their sovereignty. Ethiopia finally, after they have achieved recognition of their lost country, after they have declared it back, they finally brought their country back home, their sovereignty. I don't know. What else do you want? The only thing you want is you never want Biafra as a country. But I myself and you in the comments who want Biafra as a country, you are repeating this history today. USB is the one. Why I put all of them, if you go to my description, you will see where I said, why I told them, stop your madness, see, IPOB with the protest, see, BGC, BRC, fallback, whatever you call yourself. Stop your madness. Stop your madness. Because of my time, I said I'm not going to be long today. So if you want to join me, we have just maybe 20 minutes. So if you want to join the program, you can join to contribute through the link. And that I see Comfort, good evening from here. Linus, good evening from here. Mommy Stella, good evening from here. And Equem Justice, I greet you all for being in the comment section. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. It's a wonderful one having all of you. So if you know you want to join us, you have the link in the comment section to join. Yeah. God is with me. Good evening from here. Please have the mic.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mazi. You're welcome.
Yeah. How are you doing?
We thank you, Kabiama.
Yeah. Well done. Dalo so much and all me now. It's not easy. It's not easy. Now go if I am for the chocolate ma. For the chocolate ma. So I'm very happy as you. I'm very happy every day. Now with them more. 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 Thank you very much, my brother. God bless you. God
Yes,
bless you.
Too, my brother.
Thank you. Now this one kind of go to Ethiopia will restore their country back after 5 years. And I want to go for something years. Can I
Wasaga.
Okay. Can I Wasaga? Can I come my situation in France? I cogiri. For that can I leadership. IPOP is quite IPOP so. I back I recover our country back. So eventually make an dem man mara babana. They can be IPOP.
Are you still with us? Or network has kicked you out? Okay. Network.
Even they can come man on webe go see but so come back. Come man on webe. Ebe. Ega ke na IPOP abo belego. Ega ke na IPOP abo so that money can fight. Upon that be part of because open and die for Biafra that first time age then na the car can that get change
That first time, like
because not that
network is disturbing him so much. Network is cracking. The network is cracking seriously. Mas, your network, God is with me, your network is cracking too much. I said it here openly. Obru no game bridge the mass and can through Ushemefo. Mba nware ke kwesị declare Biafra but to be introduced to us. Mba nwa ka ọ kara ịbụ ọbụrụ ọkịta. But it's not that this is the right time because those who know the road has taken over the movement. That is why we are repeating all these histories of all these countries that you government in exile achieved their country. I am not one. This is history. That is why I put the name of Ethiopia. I put their flag. So the people of Ethiopia come and say what I'm doing is the wrong thing. And what I'm doing is called a story. Let it be that Ethiopia that I put because it's social media. I don't know who is watching. My own is to bring the message out. My own is to bring the message. And that is my own. My own is to research and bring it out. Go and check by yourself. Ask questions by yourself. It's not a time of shenanigans. It's not a time of parading yourself anyhow you like, and it's not a time of doing whatever you think on your own way. That time has gone. We are no longer in that era. And also, we're no longer in the era of, if you know what you can do to bring Biafra, go and do it. The time has gone. The only thing you can do today for Biafra to be a country is to support, fund USG they are declared. Stop running away from funding. Fund. Have the mic back, my brother. Network is very bad. Have the mic.
Yeah, sorry, call na na phone, so check and look the person now. When even name, so I hope that wasn't me again.
Okay, did well.
Yeah. So if I na-ekwu na ndị anyị fọrọ aha aka akọ Biafra, ọtị na-ekwu na if a na fight bụ dati ebe ha si enweta ego if a na fight, because ọ bụ na ọ bụ ya mgbe ejide Nnamdi Kanu, ọ mgbe a ka ha kara ime ife Simon mere, mgbe a ka ha kara ime ifu si ọ bụ na ha mere ya amantọ Nnamdi Kanu nga amantọ life imprisonment.
Yeah.
Amount life imprisonment. So also if I married you about our Prime Minister Nigeria abona declare Biafra. Where that document is land. Where that open up here, ha. Nda kind of go buna Simon Nigeria now. Nda kind of go buna Simon Nigeria. All that documents generated for regulation to stop what Finland. No, you are Prime Minister of a country. And I am a Ejowero sentence here 2 more years. So we thank God for Simon. We thank God. Some people I can't if Simon no, they will understand it in the future when the time comes.
Yes, when the time comes. And if they don't understand, it's why I'm here to. That is why I'm digging all this research, bringing you to avoid Hadaino, for you to understand what Simon did to us through our deeds of Unzorabeze, and why when Mass see a man who knows the road and who has something to offer, he said, you must follow him. He has come to bring the new dimension. The new dimension is the redeclared of University of Biafra. That is the new dimension. The redeclared of USB is that new dimension, and the end point of all the agitation group, Biafra to be a country. That is what Simon brings to us.
Yes. God is working. One thing, since Nnamdi Kanu na broadcast, onye Nnamdi Kanu say we should follow, we should listen. Ndị na-enwere mgbari na-akpụ ya kefe a na-akpọgasị ya ọbata ọmadike one of Igbo nke ọzọ na-aga n'ụzọ a na-apụcha vidio ha na onwe bụ onye Nnamdi Kanu say we should listen na ọ na-eweta new dimension si share video tinye slot na Redio Biafra onwe bụ onye o merie to show you na Nnamdi Kanu nwere fan spirit na-arụ ọrụ mgbe ọ fụ onye ga-enyere ya aka ọnọdụzi ọma. That's why if you na-abịa court nobody one day speak against Simon ọgbachi nkịtị. So we are Nnamdi Kanu pụta jakwa na Redio Biafra ya goro nke akọ ka pastors ka ọ pụtakwa echi bidokwa n'isi na Redio Biafra na London kwekwa akwa fan ya si ha akwa akọ nke a bụgo pastors agafego stage a ha ife anyị na-eche kịta recognition ka anyị na-eche and one day ọ ya eme. So onye ekweta n'ụtụ mechaa ekweta n'abalị. So onye na-ebupụta onwe na-agbasa ga oruo mgbe Hezai ka ọ ya na ọ na Hezai atụwa life imprisonment.
That is it.
That is it. So onye na-ebupụta onwe onye na-ebupụta onwe. So we thank God for everything. We are moving forward. Anyị na-efolo ife niile step by step. Ndị nọ n'ọrụ kịta ndị ma ife a na-eme ụmụ ibiri achị ajego na na-akọ ndị nọ n'ọrụ kịta awụ ndị nwe ebure ma ife a na-akọ kịta. So ndị na-akọ sampa na streeti edochago ndị a na-akọ kịta ndị gụrụ akwụkwọ kịta my fanako, my international law, bundin on board now. I got that by the flag. Man, I got some name a protest about war bank here, Yokomo. So I got that kind. So thank you very much, brother. God bless you.
Thank you. Let's give we have EJ Minister, the USB My Nation is in the midst of us. Please let us welcome her. EJ Minister, please have the mic.
Thank you. Hage Jokomo. That is okay. I ga-eji ma gas tinyere ya. Ma onwe ihe ka gas that side. Ọ ya ka ga-eji kwanye ọkụ ke ọkụ mmụọ ha a ga-arụ ya iche. A ga-arụ ya iche. Ha ga-eshebe n'ọkụ mmụọ ka ha ga-anọ na-eje data ugwu Hausa. Mad people everywhere. Maazị Chino, ndewo. Ụmụ ife ekene m unu. Ana m achị maka otu nwanne nwoke si na ha ga-eji ọkụ mmụọ ha mee. That is just the truth. Everyone had there, they will go to hellfire because they saw the truth and they refused the truth. So you can't refuse the truth and go to see God. I think it's possible. I'm happy to enter your program today. Very, very difficult. After image, I can now watch. Hey, oh God, I'm so happy to meet you live. So thank you for all you do. Biafra nwere mmadụ. And if you go here, Meruchukuji will preserve all your life, which many of our people in Diaburu, Obana Hadendo today, my dear Narugo. These evil people, Horochachande Wundi Biafra, Nyerundi Fulaniaka, Bufushichumunai, Waka Wakaha, Ikonsoha. Have we always Wepikonso because how many Ikosen when he came into Nigeria and Akahanako? Because it will not wait for international. Yes, because how much? Mana abarandi agana achụgharị ha mana arọ mana mmadụ ọkwa ifuru ezumike onwe ike adịrị ha n'ala ndị dị ndụ and ọ gaghịkwa adịrị ha n'ala ndị nwụrụ anwụ because nke amụghọ ha amụ ka mma azụ m agwa ha sị Judas ka ha mma Judas ka ha mma. Yes. So thank you so much for what you do. When I just see Uche mefo ebe ọbụla ị nọ ịgbọchala nụ coat anyị nọrọ na azinyere gị ụlọ na Dubai. Mana coat ekwezighị kpọ iwezila t-shirt mgbe ụfọdụ sef t-shirt nwanne enweghịzi ka ọ dị iji gwa gị na akọ ọnwụ na ọwụhụ gị kpara ọ na-agụgụ ite ọla na-agụgụ ọnụ. Any wealth that has no foundation, no matter how big it sounds, my dear, it cannot continue because of when he do ya. All our haze na Dubai, mediocre. Imanishi Nigeria, ebe na akwụgwọ tax. So ndị ahụ zụrụ go la zera go lo ziga go onwe. Then mgbe were ego nke do na account iche na ewu mmadụ kwụwa tax ahụ mgbe kwụrụ ya 3-4 years with big mansion ahụ ejiri evunye gị mana ya mere ndị politician unu zụrụ ụlọ n'obodo Igbo na afọ fit chi ụlọ ha because ha bịa hụ tax because otu ishi go ya o shi do ọnụ otu a ka ị ga-esi kwụọ ụgwọ tax. Ha bịa chee ka ego ole ha zụtara n'aka unu ha chọrọ idowara their generation that will never come. They will just forfeit some houses. Then onwe nke ndị nyere ha aka zụọ ya n'aha ha ma acclaim ya ga masị na because of ụmụ amụsụ African politicians merụ ndị ọcha na agenda ha ji iji si ọ bụrụ na ụlọ ọbụla agbachiri ọnụ ọhịa ụmụ onye nwere ya onye ọ na-akụwa ya ba ha beze na-akwụwacha m ụlọ ndị be ha sef nọ holiday otu mmadụ na-ego ụlọ ebe ọ laikere ọ na-arụ ọrụ si oke mgbe m bịa holiday mụ na ihe anyị na-afụ ya nsị gị na obodo ndị etipịa go ebe ha na-achọ itipịa Biafra obodo ha etipịa go ha na-ezo ya ezo obodo ha etipịa go kpamkpam ha na-anụsa Chukwu nwe ụwa ọgụ ha ga-ebuli ha bịa buo nnu na so Uche mefọ ha fa ọ na-ekwu ka ọ naghị ọkpụjuru mmiri n'ọnụ kọwa asụ n'ọnụ bet na ọ pụtakwu okwu ga na n'olu ya ụmụ amụsụ ma our president na-ekwu okwu na stop ihe ọ na-ekwu na-akpọ Facebook amaghọ na amụsụ na-atị ya nọchi around ihe unu mere eluigwe na elu uwe enwe ike agbaghara unu and unu enwe ike enwe ezumike na mkpụrụ obi unu enweghị ike generation unu kọsụrụ ha cause because you are cursed with a cause. You see, Maazi Chinno, thank you so much for explaining these things. agụnwa na-ekwu and ndị Igbo kwukwere sị na ọ dị ka ọ dị kpọba ọkwa ọ dị ka ọ dị ga-azụ ya.
The God as well, yes.
Mana na our own case, ihe na-atọ m obi ụtọ bụ na ụmụ ife mụ anya. When you have 98% understood where they are going, anyị kakwa ụmụ Israel mụ. Not these 2% for Chukwu na nye anyị the brain on how to handle them very well. Nke anyị agago, nke anyị arugo ebe anyị na-eje. Ọkwa ọ ya bụ ihe anyị na ha ka na-anọ. All these 2% na-enweghị ebe ha ruru ma ha ma politician ma everything ha niile ha eru ọdị that 2%. So ị na-enekwa ya na-amakwa na anyị gwa ndị ụwa ọma o. Then if you chekie ihe Chukwu na ji the mother of the nation Dr. Ngozi Orabeze, ana m like ekwuwe ha n'ihe gbasara ana m like na-etinye aha ya so that ndị chọrọ ịmaba na mmiri ndị Fulani dowere ha maba na mmiri ahụ na ruo ọsịsọ. Icheke ihe Chukwu na ji that our DPM mere anyị ọ dị unexplainable. Our case is truly different. Very unexplainable. You know why I'm telling you this? Biafrans, if you have your ID card, wherever you are, Ajiogi Onyebebo, inwe form ige feel that you are from United States of Biafra. If you have your ID card, I'm not telling you what I'm not doing. I'm telling you what I am doing. And I'm on my West. And nobody put through that one. Okay? I don't even take my time to explain anything about Biafra to anybody. I'll tell them, consult your map and you see where it is. Okay?
Exactly.
So, exactly. ID card again, in way form, nationality. You are a Biafran. Put it there. Your country, United States of Biafra. Dispute through me. Even last week, when form Biafra, this name is very sweet. For the second, for the monoquia, for the what's going on there. Some will use their mouth and say they will consult the map. Because this is present wegi kamadu gesi we jogajijo. Okay, so yes. If you have not done your ID card and you are inside the United States of Biafra supporting the government, or you like what is happening, or you know in your heart of heart that Iboye Biafra, jekwe jeme ID card again. Go and do it. Iweri assign ya. Onye ọbụla kọrọ mpeteri, ịchọ ebe ndị lezon nọ ka the mother of the nation depụrụ ha akwụkwọ, which they will not. If ndị na-ata anya musu, ndị Europe cannot cough because they know the truth, just like our brother preached. Ọkwa iwu ha ka iji na-eje. But it's only us that will allow them to bring us down. Because we have not done anything wrong, and they know. But one time if you call me a thief, you are calling yourself. Yeah, you are a thief. I will continue to do what I'm doing because I know I am not a thief. So the main important thing, that's why our historian, Chino, the winner, after our government, oh my goodness. I don't know what to say, but Chukwu Kikobioma is happy. Maazị Nnamdi Kanu gwara ha say na ha fụchabe ndị Biafra. A na-eje ije ha na-afụkwana ya. Ha na-ekwete na ọ na-eme. Chukwu Okike kere Biafra na o nwere mmadụ. Na ụmụ ya ka na ya. They cannot wipe us out. And nke ha gburu ezugo. Anyị nwa ga na-egbuzi ha kịta. Okay, for this time around, anyị nwa ga na-egbuzi ha. Anyịnwa ga na-egbuzi ha. Chetara na Chineke ziri ozi so ụmụ ya jee n'obodo somewhere jee egbu shishia. Ihe nji na-ekwu ihe a maka ndị religion sara isi. The worst part ha kwuho na ekwensu, ha kwuho na Chineke, mana ha kacha eme noise. Ịkwa ga-ekwupụ na okwu ekwupụ ha tụtụrụ gị ya n'ọnụ, bee ya ka ha but bịazie si ya nọrọ anyị, jụọ ha ajụjụ. Nwekwa ebe ha chi aga, ihe ha na-akọrọ gị bụ ihe Gwayo pastor ha gwara ha n'elu ọta.
Yes.
Ndị pastor ha bụ chi. Many of them, pastor ha bụ Chukwu na ha nwere. Nwunye pastor ha bụ Jesus Christ ha. Mama, papa. Ndị oshi, ndị ama. Mami Jio. Unu afụgo ihe Mr. Arnold guzo onye na-preachiri Nigerian pastors, ndị mebiri unu ụka. majority of them, not all. Ndị na-atụrụ gị ego. Ndị na-atụrụ gị ego egbu ohi nwe ike ikwu okwu. Ndị na-atụrụ gị ego agụ na-agụ uhie na-agba jet. Amamihe mere na jet ahụ esibe n'elu dagbuo unu. Unu agbagbuo onwe unu na jet. Adeboye eji si na ya ga-ekpere ndị Biafra ekpere ka anyị nwụchichi asị ya gịnị dị. Mbụọ ya ọnụ, anụ ahụ mbụrụ ya ka na-esi ya ruo taa. Si ya na ị ga-amazi onye bụ nwa Chineke. Now you gonna know onye bụ nwa Chineke. Iji anyị egwu egwu. Gịnwa ga-emere anyị fasting to our own God for doing what is right. What God signed. Saying go and get what belongs to you. Ị na-eburu anyị ọnụ n'ihu Chukwu nke anyị. That man, ọ ga-anwụ ọnwụ ọjọọ bidobedo. Ọka ebidobedo ije, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So, my dear people, my people. Ị bụrụ onye United States of Biafra, na-ekene Chineke, na-agbaru Chineke egwu. Were ntị gị mere oche. Mụrụ anya kara azụ. Na-eme ihe a sị ka eme. Na-ege gọọmenti anyị ntị. Do not be distracted. Ije na chanelụ ndị Ogumabiri. Ịma na isi ga-ama mvumi ya, don't go there. Don't even go to even reply them. Allow our media, listen to them through our medias, so that it will be well analyzed and omandi confusing. And then you get with evidences. I won't have him time herself because onye njuru, onye ọbụla njuru, ma ahịa, ma generation ya mi ọpụgo m n'ishi. Ajụgo m onye ahụ forever and ever. That is my own. Ana m ejedebe aha. I thank God na ụmụnne m ka na-ejede. So ọ ha wepụta ihe na-ekiri. Say okay. Ebe a ka unu nọ. And if you people can watch, ọ bụrụ na esi ihe na-eme na mmụọ, unu ga-afụ na even ha bozi ihe dịrị anyị kịta na our medias are reducing talking about them. It's only when they come to touch the government or touch something relevant that you see our media pump up again and deal with them. And I'm making a mazikai oji hanoru. Onye obodo akwifu ekere ọrụ eke, Chukwu okike ekere ọrụ eke. Hey! N'ime Biafra. Onye amaghị adịghị ihe kara. Ezia ụwa maka n'ime USB lee. Onye amaghị adịghị ihe kara. Hey, that is they didn't see it coming. They did not see it coming because they are who they are. When you are full of light, you cannot see any light. It's the people of light that see far. That's exactly what happened to them. They didn't see it coming. And they say they are children of God. They now forgot the word of God that says, if anybody did not praise me, I will raise stone to praise me. That's exactly what is happening in this journey. That is exactly where we are. That's the punto. That is the punto. So let me not take too much time. I just call to encourage my people to go and get their bona fide ID card. Ni Nigeria Nyerunu. Enweghị ihe dị anime photocopy ndị photocopy machine. You log it in, nobody will see nothing. If you handle our ID card and police stop you, police bụ police, ọkwa police achịkọtakwa ndị terrorists. Police nwere machine eji ama ma ihe ọ eziokwu tinye ya n'ime ya. Otu ọ ga-esi na-ega anya the second time. Ga-adị iche. Because ID card gị ga-ezi everything. Zi ABCC ya generation gị kpọrọ ahụ ụmụnne gị. Anyị nwa merụ the first time. Ahụ ụmụnne gị, ahụ ụmụnna gị. That is authentic. Authentic. So, if you have not gotten it, if you have not gotten it,
I submitted only USB document when about mission head here. When I am doing something, I said, "Wow, where they got this kind of authentic document?"
Spain now worship here. That is. And man, meji atomenti hambo for the. Hana ajiti maji mbuputi ozbo. Mbu for the soya here na kasim. Don't worry. Hi. You want to be ID card? Give me a wagi hojo. Go and get your ID card for your own good.
Honestly,
So you don't use mouth and tell somebody that you are a country citizen of a country. This Nigeria mentality, bido JJ Gorunu ncha na ogbo sapo we an issue na Nigeria enwe hundo from beginning. They have never had life. If you finish studying from in Nigeria and come abroad, that country wayo because ojiha mero as office we London mero the main office. How branch London. That is that place. God will punish Satan again. Conclude everything. Punishment in Nigeria. So, atoro Omaru, atoro feke. I'm a mafia kajizikwa gefenya makandi fulani no chazika gefenya ba gera di fulani. So nu fenya de. Ihe unu ajeteziri nke agbasara unu nwo ya na-abikwu okwu unu. Unu na udene. Nke unu na udene ga-egbu ọgụ unu niile. Mazi Chisom. I'm gonna continue, okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Love you. Exactly after 12, and I have work 5 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Can you imagine? Okay, you see, I'm just coming from my own too. You see, that's I need. I don't the government. That is endlessly. Then you have to work because it could be a logi. It might be in you. So ndị na-agba ọsọ agbata obodo oyibo ana m agwa unu ịbụrụ dọkịta bụrụ ihe ọ bụla ịbụ na-abịa ebe a ma na iji ike nye gị ebe ị ga-eje gbuo anyị si n'ọrụ ugbo ikene Chineke gị because nke ahụ ama maka gị na nwetebe akwụkwọ this and that onwe ha kwa ebe n'igwe nọ kara ebe ahụ so ịmara otu isi anụ ọgụ a na n'onwe ya na ihe ha na-eme bụ ka isi na na-agbapụ were unu isi eji onye nchekwa bunye ya na compound gị they will never come. Ha kpọọ ya na ịrụrụ arụ maka ha bata ebe ahụ saving virgin ha ma mfuzi ọkwa reality ka nna gbuo na ha so ihe unu ga-eji protect onwe unu juru eju doe na ebe ha ga-ahụ ya udo na bịaliche nke ọ ga-eri unu gba ya unu make sure na ha fụrụ ya n'ihu isi eji they will never come. Tinye ya n'isi compound gị tinye ya n'ihu gate gị ha nga ya n'ọnụ gate gị they will not come, they will not pass it. N'ugbo gị ji ewere ya tụnye n'ebe si abụ ugbo ndị na-eji ịchọ ha n'ime ọhịa buru na ya ka ha pụọ they will never come to that land again because ọ bụgo a defied land. So ihe eji anụsa ha ọgụ juru eju and ha gbawa ha ga-ahapụ mgbọmgbọ niile ebinyere ha unu ebute ya tinye ya mekọọ ya na nke anyị otu ahụ Maazị Simon Ekpasa na-atọkọta ha ya mgbe ahụ nke anya na-abata na ka na-eme increase eji echeruzi ndị zijeru ha ndị ahụ ziri ha ozi ọha ka ga-ejizi ya wee chere. Udo dịrị unu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, EJ Minister. Thank you so much. That is USD My Nation. Please, I ask you to join our sister. Na ekele ọlụ eke o. Enwe ndị bụ fanas. Ana m asụ Igbo onye si na ụlọ wee bịa. Ịghọtago? Ma ndị nke a na-asụ Igbo ndị si ebe ndụ. Na ka m kwụghe freedom na-asụ Igbo. Freedom adịghị asụ Igbo. Recognition anyị na-ekwu okwu ndị na-enye anyị abụ ndị Igbo. So, mgbe na memfo onye na-ekwu sụba Igbo ngwa gị na-asị na a na-ebu ụzọ zụta ute wee zọba ana ọ bụrụ na ya nweta sọbara recognition Igbo ya na-asụ enwere gị otu anyị enweta ya because na a na-agba mbọ ka Igbo gị ya fụa mana USB redeclare recognition ga-eme ka Igbo gị bataghachi back. That is the only option we have, no other option. So listen to our people. Jebe na nke EJ Minister USB My Nation. Ị ga-afọ otu o si wee dị ya U otinye akpọm S otinye akpọm B otinye akpọm My Nation now are not not in a capital letter. Then follow it like that. You will see on YouTube. Not on when notification all the time. I watch my program here. No, Nigeria. Phone what you want to in the choir. The comment. One nene bezi oku no rap everybody no obaseno. Let's give our brother Kenez just 3 minutes because we are rounding up. We are rounding up. EJ Minister, Mazi the meeting Kenego. I'm from comment section.
Okay.
Please have your 3 minutes. We are running because of my time. I'm rounding up.
Yeah. Martinel Mekeleng, my brother.
Yeah, one name mother.
My network. Book I'll make a leg well, and I don't want to really go there. But I give me a brief advice. Here, now. Makanda ya chego tiale ku. Even na ba abo if they should understand now in time of like but also got here la obodo bongo that uche ha ga-adị ya mere ka Chineke na madam azụgo anyị ndụ that madam nyere anyị aka zọpụta anyị mana ọsọ ga-agba obodo bongo aja agba soon ndị ahụ jekwa ọsọ ga-ere gbara nwa kwere ekwe ọtụ ọ gara mmadụ obi win ha election a obi win ya ndị ahụ na-asara nwa Nigeria ụtọtọ ga-agba aga ha like ya mana nwanne m nwoke daalụkwa rinere nwa m most time to talk mbọsị more time to talk I will come in time ma jisi ike n'ihe na-eme osi ike n'ihe na-eme because o nwere ife m gwakwa ha kịta n'obodo kpọ ọkụ na onwe ndị ma ndị obodo esebe nọ na-agbakwa ọsọ gara gara na Oyo steeti ihe na-eme dị ya Lekki ife na-eme dị ya Ogun steeti ife na-eme dị ya Ibadan ife na-eme dị ya so ndị ele akọ nonsense la social media la akọta USB nwanne anyị eberekwa ebere very soon maka ndị abatago obodo Awụsa abatago Ọka mana ekele dịrị nna anyị ukwu bụ Dr. Nkuzi Ọrabeza mmaji ka ife nọta mana ebe ka anyị gbaje kere ihe anyị akọlọ maka ọ ga-emekwa ga-ereji very soon Chineke daalụ maka ụmụnne anyị na-ekpugo gbasịbanye mbụ ike ekwere ka o tee aka biko ana m ya ayọ Chino ya gazere go ofuma let's talk I prove ma lenwe mo kutu mo this night isi ke ni le mo ya go yeah
gozikwa gị nwa in odrizi tipo nga akpọ ajona every time. Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Gini Emena Bongo, let me give you a little video. Look at what's happening. This is them, the terrorists in Nigeria. They received new uniform, about over 10,000 uniforms inside the bush. They will wear it and come out to come and massacre you. Do you know the bush they are into? In the bush in all Nigeria, over 10,000 new uniform of military was being given to them. Over 10,000. They will use to come out on the road, do kidnapping, behead people's head, like what you are. This is what is happening there. They knew this is the new gift they received. Can you see what are they opening? This is Nigeria uniform. Over 10,000 was received. Over 10,000 of this was received. That is what they are doing. And you are waiting for me. You never know that the only option you have is USB you are declared to save your life. If you are still against USB, sorry, Nalu Melegi, Mas Divinity of America, I see you. Good evening from here. Thank you so much. Odogu, I see you. Isiken Guru Agu, and I know he's coming. Iken Guru Agu play like people of America, like the Anglican clergy who said that they want America to be a country. That is all you can do. Today, the history is what USB is repeating. How Ethiopia lost their country and how they used only 5 years to take back their territory. And we have been wasted for 59 years, minus 40 years of IPOB. You want Biafra as a country? Like what USB declared. Join USB declared. Join your country. Be a citizen. Stop being a member of organization. Stop being a member of one family. It's not way of a country. It's not way of a country. I want to thank you all for being here. And I'm going to end it up here today because of my time. Wait for us exactly the same time that was there today for tomorrow. Once the Biafran time, between 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock Biafran, 8 o'clock Biafran time, sorry, between 6 o'clock, 7, you will see us this day because of our time. We must do a little things we do to put things in order for us to be here. So please, I urge you to remain resolute. I urge you to know that supporting USB declared is the only way you are doing yourself good. Against USB declared, you are doing yourself more harm. And I am here to prevent you from cry had I known. That is why I'm here. That is what I'm doing for you. And this is all I need to happen. I need to let you know. Please do not panic. Do not think otherwise. You have only one government. The only government you have is the only government in exile you have is the one that issued a peaceful declaration of a lost country, which is United State of Biafra is the only one the world know. And they said that our language is government in exile, the one that issued declaration or declared for their lost country. That is the only one exile government you have. Any other thing is like when Namibia declared, South government organized 8-7 group to attack the GP, the SWAPO that issued the declaration of Namibia. That is what is happening. Check history. Usbg, thank you so much through our DPM for repeating all this history of all the countries that on this, that the process they take to achieve their country is where we are at the right point, at the right time. That is what is giving me joy. We are no longer on the street sending a document of what? Document of human rights, document begging to tell Nigeria to treat us right, to stop flogging us, to stop arresting us, to stop killing us, to stop intimidation, and asking them, please tell us Nigeria, release Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. Ta, Bafwogide, Jejukwegon, in a protest, in a IPOB, Nyara, mad people everywhere. Dear friends, we leave it here. Thank you so much. Until we come back again tomorrow, we will finish this program because there is more to these countries that we never touch. You will hear all of them. Thank you. One love. Good night, my people. Joy Mazekai is live. Check Biafra doors. They're all live right now. Check and join. Check. Who share? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. I see you. Thank you. Okay. Before I shut it down, let me just repeat the history of Ethiopia without saying I already explained it in details. So let me just play it.
If we focus specifically on the scenario where an already existing African country was completely lost to an outside invader or occupying force, its leaders formed a government in exile, GIE, issued a declaration or redeclaration of their sovereignty, and successfully used international law to win their country back. There is one standout historical example that fits this exact criteria: Ethiopia. The historical blueprint, the Ethiopian government in exile, 1936 to 1941. Ethiopia holds a unique status in African history as the country that successfully executed the sequence of losing its territory, operating in exiled sovereignty, and gaining international recognition back to restore its independence. 1935. Italian invasion v. 1936. Country lost, occupation begins v. Emperor Haile Selassie flees to UK/forms GIE to Ichi. 1938. Iconic legal protest and sovereign redeclarations v. 1941. Complete liberation and international recognition restored. 1. How the country was lost. 1936. In October 1935, Fascist Italy under Benito Mussolini launched an unprovoked brutal invasion of the legal independent empire of Ethiopia, then widely known internationally as Abyssinia. Despite fierce resistance, the Italian military used advanced weaponry and outlawed chemical weapons, mustard gas, to overwhelm the Ethiopian forces. By May 1936, the capital city of Addis Ababa fell. Italy declared the total annexation of the territory, merging it with Eritrea and Somalia to form Italian East Africa. The sovereign country of Ethiopia was temporarily erased from the physical map. 2. The move to exile and the redeclaration of sovereignty. Emperor Haile Selassie I refused to surrender or sign away the sovereignty of his nation. He went into exile, establishing a temporary headquarters and government in exile in Bath, England, Fairfield House. The pivotal moment of peaceful legal redeclaration happened on June 30, 1936, when Haile Selassie addressed the League of Nations, the predecessor to the United Nations, in Geneva. In an iconic speech, he issued a formal diplomatic declaration to the world. He rejected the legality of the Italian occupation. He redeclared that Ethiopia's sovereignty remained intact under international law, famously warning the global community, *, it is international morality that is at stake. God and history will remember your judgment. 3. The battle for international recognition. Initially, the international community was weak. Under the policy of appeasement, major powers like Great Britain and France, actually considered recognizing Italy's de facto control over Ethiopia to avoid a wider war. However, the Ethiopian government in exile continuously used international legal principles to maintain their standing. They argued the principle of ex injuria jus non oritur. Unlawful acts cannot create legal rights. Because Italy broke global treaties to invade, the international community could not legally recognize the conquest. They maintained diplomatic channels and refused to shut down their legations abroad, keeping the legal identity of the lost country alive in the eyes of international courts. 4. Winning the country back, 1941. The legal and diplomatic persistence of the government in exile paid off when World War II broke out globally. The moment Britain went to war with Italy, the legal status of the Ethiopian government in exile shifted from a sidelined movement to an official, crucial wartime ally. The liberation, backed by the British military and local Ethiopian freedom fighters, Usbg, a liberation campaign was launched. The return. On May 5, 1941, exactly 5 years to the day after the capital had fallen, Emperor Haile Selassie marched back into Addis Ababa. The international community immediately restored full, undisputed international recognition to the domestic Ethiopian state. The government in exile successfully dissolved because its mission was accomplished. It had successfully preserved the legal continuity of a lost country through exile, and safely brought its sovereignty back home to African soil.